Hello, lads and gents, and welcome. Welcome to ESA Cup season number 9. Today, we're going to be watching some interesting matches, as we always do. It's ESA. There are only W's to be had here. But before we get a bit of our ahead of ourselves, let me introduce you to my beloved caster who will be leading the game through with me, and that is going to be McCready. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. Really happy to be back for another season because I was here last season. They brought me in wonderfully, and I cannot wait for this one. It is set to be absolute bangers. We saw it yesterday. This game today, Bob, it's going to be 100% heat. I mean, we look at these two teams. They've got wealth of experience. Like you could see the accolades these teams have, especially one of them. It reaches all the way to the moon, man.
Most definitely. But who are these teams that we so highly speak of? It's MG Minions facing against Solaire, which is, something. It's a first for me personally. Now, not seeing much of the despicable little group of yellow beings around. Of course, I'm interested to see what kind of heat they can bring into the game, what type of strategies they can show us. Same could be said for Solaire, but with it, we also have some predictions going on in the background from the side of production, and let's take a look at those, Greedy. Oh God, it's all just yellow.
I mean, I can't say I don't like it. It's a really fun design. As you can see there, it's pretty solid for the minions across the board there. Bows, Mighty, Nanos, Ohot, and Bob all going for the minions on this one. Their opponents though today, it's Solaire. They're going to be a little bit of it's going to be a bit of a grudge match here, Bob, because these two teams have actually faced each other before. I mean, we look at it and honestly, one you'd expect it to go Mr. Gaming's way, but it didn't. It was a 2-0 in favor of Solaire on this one. The question is, are they going to have that power back? Are they going to be able to bring back that magic that they had back in August and really capture it again today? Well, this is what, if you're the side of minions, you're going to be looking to improve from. You're going to have prepared from it. And one of the big things I want to focus on is the map bans, because the map bans that they previously played each other on was Chalet, Nighthaven, and Border. Now, the big thing that's sticking out for me at the moment, Solaire, they've gone for Chalet. But that last map is the real one. I mean, this is one that was 7-3 in favor of Solaire, and the minions want to go back as their decider, Bob.
It seems like we're going to have a repeat of at least 2 out of the 3 maps they so-called lost on. But yet again, MG Minions, they have a bunch of matches on their track record. If we take a look at it, or if anyone goes out of their free time to take a look at, Minions have around 3 times the matches played compared to Solaire, which is an interesting amount of times. But you said they did lose in the past, and hopefully the past won't repeat itself yet again. Now, the first one is going to be Consulate. It's an absolute blast of a map. You said Border was one of those 3 that the loss was on. Border is a very frag-heavy map. But all 3 of these combined, I would say, are quite focused on strategy, a bit more than aggression.
Yeah, I feel like Consulate one is one of those ones where a lot of teams will think of it as a frag heavy map because in the ranked playstyle that is it really. There's not a lot of thought behind it, but Consulate is one of those maps where you need to actually focus quite a bit. You need to have that strategy, that measured aggression, that coordination, because things can go wrong at the flick of a switch, at one player just deciding they're going to pop off in that round. So that is why this map is going to be such a key one, and the fact that we are seeing minions going to be taking that attacking ground, I believe, the attacking side, they're going to have to really set the pace on this one, which is what we'd expect them to do coming in with that experience. Like we say, though, Solaire, they've proven themselves before, they're going to look to do the same. Bob, we're going to jump into Consulate and we're going to go onto these bans. Who do we expect to see taken off the board first?
Honestly, I believe it's going to be quite usual. It's the start of the season. This is the only second match coming into ESA, and I think they want to play it safe. It's going to be Ying, Dokkaebi, all sorts of that. Maybe even Monty has popped off with alongside it. On defense, I'm expecting nothing else than Valkyrie, Azami, Fenrir. The 4 horsemen on each side, because these operators are so strong that if you leave them open, the enemies are going to pick them, and it's going to be hell for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still enjoying the fact that Thatcher actually gets a lot more play now because those impact EMPs. Jackal and Monty, though, these 2 operators that can have such a controlling presence across a map, both taken off the board. This really doesn't surprise me. Monty, with that recent shield buff, is a very, very strong operator, especially in a 1vx scenario. They still have a lot of potential in a way they just didn't used to. Jackal cutting off roamers, cutting off these players, getting so much map control so quickly. On a map like Solaire with only 3 real escape routes, that's a massive thing. Like you say, Valkyrie's going to be taken away. That information game going to be damaged quite heavily. And I think the last one we're going to see is probably going to be along the lines of a Fenrir, or maybe even an Aruni, something like that. You know, just to shut down these choke points being really locked down for the attackers.
Yeah,
that's what that's what Solaire are going to try and avoid.
Oh, Clash ban. That's interesting. You know, I've seen Clash pop up in the side of Consulate quite a bit. Even if any of you recognize a fellow caster, Reprince, he is playing, and I've seen him play quite a bunch of Clash on this map. So I'm thinking that there is probably a reason to this, mostly because Consulate is really corridor-based. We see these hallways really extending to rooms. It has so much power placing a shield on the top floor or placing a shield anywhere on these corridors because they just connect to so much. It's really just rooting down from room to room and all down to one corridor, one hallway. In Clash, it's the perfect operator for completely denying any type of entrance on the attacking side.
Yeah, now, we talked about what's been banned, let's talk about what's not been banned. So Fenrir, like you say, being brought in, and Azami as well. This is going to be a really difficult combo to deal with for the attackers. Yeah, I'm going to get onto that as well, because that's such a powerful attacking lineup as well. On the defense, having that Fenrir, it shuts down a lot of longer range engagements attackers can specialize with, and prioritize taking a lot more closer range gunfights, which with an MP7, a shotgun like the Mossberg on mute, going to be very, very difficult for an attacker to win. Alongside the Azami barricades offering that cover, they're going to have a chance to set up a lot of good defensive positions. But on the attacking side, they brought exactly the same thing. They brought that Dokkaebi, get that information game out there. They brought the Ying, get the util in, get a fast execute, take control of that space. Both teams here, I feel like they've got a really aggressive start to this. The question is, how are they going to open it up? A lot of pressure over towards that admin side, but are the attackers even going to want to go there?
The thing here is really blue team, orange team, whatever the case may be. Here, it is a bit more aggressive on the side of blue, or on the side of, I don't know exactly which teams. I do believe it's going to be minions on the left, on the blue, and then, yeah, we have orange being Solaire. I do believe minions are a bit more aggressive. You said it. We see the ace, we see the Dokkaebi, we see the opening pick for Blake. A beautiful one at that. Orange on the other side, or Solaire. I need to get used to not naming colors in this situation, but are a bit more sided towards denial, towards that Azami, Fenrir, Melusi. They really stop the push, stop the utility with a mute, and then they just back off, wasting time. Not only that, but utility as well, which is just a perfect coordination of defense and attack, which gives you a lot of openings for yourself. But the opening this time around was on minions, Greedy.
Exactly, Blakey taking that gunfight. What I really wouldn't expect the ace with the fuser to be doing. Now, Ying jumps in, and a lot of this util is going to start seeing its way, but a shotgun down in that situation by the mute jammer. The Dokkaebi scan won't give it away. They will get fleshed out, but any of the util is useless. So as we see, Zarina will be taking that gunfight, will find the kill. Sacred down below, as well as Northy. They're looking to get that refrag, will make it happen. And in a 4 versus 3 with half the round gone, it looks like the attackers are starting to make their pressure in towards this site. But they're not there yet. These corridors that you talked about, Bob, are going to have such a big impact. Falls gets taken down. Flex is pushing up to try and do something of their own, but they're not able to find the mark. And will butt drop off. Sacred falls down as well to Flex. And as with a minute ticks down, the attackers of minions are going to have to make something magical happen. Util in the favor of the defense here. Time in the favor of the defense as Maggie's able to find another one.
Beautiful from the Northy. Evens it out a bit closer. HP looking low on Flex as of current. These crossholds are going to be dangerous. You don't have much Candelas. The gun is strong, but you need to watch your right. A beautiful one from the Melusi to finish off round number 1. Going over to the side of Solaire.
Yeah, very strong start from them. I really felt that minions had a very good start for that.
Yeah.
They had a lot of that control. They used the util in the right spots. They said, right, we've got Ying. Let's get these Candelas out. Let's force these players out. I think it just does come down to the fact that these mute jammers are in such a massive way having an impact in that round, because we'd see here Dokkaebi scans come out, drones would go through as well, and the mute jammer just shut that all down. So they were able to just play in those key little positions, not get droned out, and then peek out when they needed to, get the pick, and just fall back. I feel like it was very good from Solaire to kind of realize when they didn't need to be pushing into admin and not taking those gunfights, so that was good from them. Not surprised really to see attack timeout, but I am surprised to see it coming out from Solaire. I think they've gone around and they're just making sure they say, right, how are we going to do this next round different? We've got to head somewhere else. Is it going to be down below? How are we going to adjust to this? Because they came in expecting to win that gunfight for the side of Minions, and they did. They got that opening pick. What's Solaire going to do with this timeout?
I wonder that myself. Now, Solaire, my question here is normally why? Why take it so early? Normally, people use this as an advantage to try and shut down a tempo that team is having. Maybe they win 2, 3, 4 rounds in a row. You shut it down, you restart the beat for both these teams with that timeout. Maybe get yourself in a better position later on. So after the first round, which was considerably close, I would say, it's still a question of why. Yet again, you even won the round. So, not much of a clue what was going on behind the scenes right then and there, but we digress. Going into round number 2, defense is yet again still up, but this time it's all the way down in the side of basement. It seems like Minions are still going to be using that good old Ying, which is absolutely beloved. Bringing a Nomad instead of the Dokkaebi is going to be an interesting choice, seeing as how much verticals are really important up here, how you really want to take these back corridors. We mentioned corridors left, right, and center. And in the end, it's important to take them and not have to watch out for your flanks constantly, which is why the Ying is beloved. And Solaire, they keep up with this type of denial, this type of time waste. The Goyos, the Kapkans, the Frost. You need to constantly be watching out for this utility because it's quite deadly once you step into the lines of sight of it. In the meanwhile, early aggression yet again, and MG Minion starting it off strong. Blakey, the second time he gets the opening.
Yep, and that is going to be another kill for them. Like they say, Kapkan's taken down, but that util's already put down there. Now, some more of the defenders are going to come up to that top floor. The big thing for me here is Minions don't have much vertical control. They're taking that top floor, and they're making a very good entrance into Visa. But now they've got to start dropping down below. They can't get that breach open realistically. They don't really have much work in the case of a Ram or a Buck. They've only got the Ash and the Sentry and the Striker to get that done. Looks like they're going to try and take some gunfights out. Maxia, though, will find that kill onto Flex. That means that they've got that 2-player advantage. Now they've got something they could really work with. They just need to be aware that the rest of Solaire are starting to move up as well. I think nobody actually down below. I think there's one player. It's Pligs, and as some of these Kapkan traps go down, they will do damage to Blakey. They will do a bit of passive damage that no doubt will help in the late round, but they can't be relying on it. As the attackers start to come down to that bottom floor, the defenders are going to have that advantage of the verticality. Class up, has the shotgun, has the gun, can take these gunfights like they're going through onto Maxi. You can go get vertical in Piano, but at the moment they're just going to drop back down. The player on Spiral Sacred pushes up, finds the kill, and now it's all down to Maggie and Plagues. This looked like a good position, but it isn't looking so good anymore. As 1 minute 18 on the clock, the attackers are going to start putting their advantage.
Sacred with another traded out by Plagues, though. A double on the side of blue, aka Minions are down, possibly by a trap, but yet again, there comes the Nomads we were speaking so highly of, and it's down to a 1v4. Solaire now looking at an unfavorable position, but not going down without a fight. The second one comes out, but Unfalls won't be letting it happen, which is just beautiful. Right then and there, we loved seeing that defense. They played it back, they played it safe. But once they brought that aggression up to the attackers, once they tried being proactive, it really got shut down easily by Minions, which I love their approach. Normally, again, it's usual to see people go for verticals. Take that Nomad, play off of safety, play off of clearing roamers, taking a downside up to down clear. In the end, they went for backside fully, maybe a Nomad upstairs just to clear out any flankers, which is the job of a Nomad, and then have your entire team focus on Cafeteria. Just push it through. It's too much pressure to handle anyways. So Solaire, in the end, got just crumbled into bits, and a traded round for the side of Minions.
Yeah, well played from the side of Minions. I feel like for the side of Solaire this round now, on what we've looked to improve, I don't really want to see them getting that aggressive on the verticality. I don't want to see them losing those 2 players up top early on, and then moving the rest of the team up, because like you saw, Minions were able to read into it, they dropped down, they started putting that very easy pressure on, knowing they were at least in a 2v1 scenario in both defenders on site, so they just took that advantage. They went in, they won those gunfights, the plank comes down, and yeah, Blitz got a very nice kill on him with Nomad, but it wasn't really enough. At that point, they'd already conceded way too much ground. They didn't really have much verticality to work with. They had to drop down, take the gunfights, and while they got one, they weren't going to get the rest. Now, though, this time the mirror's being brought out, and this is something that I feel is going to have a much better impact. Again, it comes down to the corridors, Bob. That's what mirror does. The mirror just stops you in your tracks. You see that mirror window, whether you know there's somebody there or not, you have to assume that there is. You cannot just leave it. You cannot assume that nobody's watching you, because 9 times out of 10, they will be. And that's just a nice bit of phantom pressure that the defenders get for free. Again, the attackers moving in on that top floor, aware that they need to be careful, aware that the defense know that they pushed from this backside before, so they're going to have something ready. They're going to have something, at least just a little bit more focus over towards that position as time does go on.
Solaire, in the meanwhile, took a bit of a notice towards the ward not being the best option to counter this Ying if he ends up dying, because early picks have been quite common against him. So why not bring out the Wamai? Get of those discs, plop them on the wall, and you can kill the Wamai all you want, but the utility is still going to get denied, and the Ying will be countered to some degree. Even if not the Ying, the flashes have been quite consistent. We already have 6 on the side of minions just laying around, so they are going for a flash-heavy strategy. It's basically all in or nothing that they're working with, and it's been working out for 1 round. Hopefully, it will work out for the second. Trying to find a bit of early picks. Yet again, the strategy going upstairs, trying to rotate and cancel that so-called rotation on the defense. Solaire does manage to just snoop and tipple-toe their way through the situation. But aggression, they've been bringing it earlier, and they go in for a round 2. The Nomad swings, the flash is out, you're flashed, and it's just gonna be a runaway from Plagues as he almost manages to find one, but it's too great of an amount as Maya does find the first.
Yes, the 6 in Ying able to find their mark, and right now Maya is looking for another one. Looks and does some damage to Klaza, but time to get down. They're going to have to start pushing in. A minute left, and they do have Mirror with Maggie on the Vector, holding that long corridor alongside Zerino. Look at this situation. The mute jammers again. The Goyo shield has already gone off, but the time it's wasting. Klaza finding another kill, looks towards that spiral, and pops that Goyo shield. That Goyo canister again. Another 30 seconds or so of time being wasted out as Maggie finds another kill. The Ying starts to go through, finds their trade of its own onto Zerino. And now Nordy has to push forward, but the Goyo shield, it's going to do the damage. We always knew it would. Flix gets one and traded out immediately. As it's down to Falls and Maya, but only Falls at the moment able to do anything as Maggie and Klaza look to close things up. 20 seconds down. And it looks like this isn't really going to work out for the attacking side. The pre-fast follow, the pre-aim. They know where these players should be, but not that one. Klaza will close things down, and it looks like we are going to see Solaire picking up another round on the defense. They didn't get that second, but they adapted really well.
Yes, they did. Brought out some new characters, some new operators to try and counter the flashes, and it worked perfectly. Majority of them were used on the side of Spiral just to counter Plagues, who was quite a fracking scent. He went flicking back and forth with that Vector. It's a strong gun, but in the end, when you're completely outmatched by not only players, but also utility, there's not much you can do besides waste time, and that's exactly what happened in there. In the end, 2-1 is the score, and yet again, minions weren't too far-fetched off of claiming that round. In the end, it was a 2v1, 2v2 if we count the Nomad being down, which I necessarily normally don't.
No.
Whatever the case is, though, 3 rounds are through, Greedy. That means a full rotation of sites is now open, and we're back at it again upstairs, seeing the Mirror, and also a bit of a dog pick, which is quite questionable.
Well, I mean, I can kind of understand the logic behind it. We've seen a lot of early gunfights coming out, especially thanks to Blakey, where not necessarily there's been a kill every time. In most cases, there have. But there is that early damage. That early damage does bite you in the backside later in the round. Then you've also got the potential of the damage of Goyo shields in certain rounds, or just a little bit of utility that's being picked off. Flix is there to counteract it, get those 6 players back in the fight, and most importantly, do it very, very quickly. You don't have to wait for a recharge. It's a reload. All you have to do is get that gun, fire, that player's off and good to go. The one thing I want to focus on again is that my heart is now onto that IQ because they know it's that top floor, but the Ying is still there. Now they have 4 Candelas and 2 frag grenades. We talked about how many flashbangs they had last time. That's a lot of utility they could still use. The question is how they're going to deal with this admin side. They shut down a lot over towards that front office. Now they're going to have to deal with the bandit who's holding Nordy, and that's where these Candelas might come in absolutely perfect. The right time Candela, they'll be able to jump in. If they get it wrong, the C4 goes over it, looks for its mark, and admin, it finds it, Blakey taken down, normally getting those opening picks, but this time to be the opening pick. The irony is cruel. The ace taken away, and that job pretty much a good and over in admin.
Switcheroo for Solaire. They're going to be getting the opening this time around. Candelas do show themselves. You claim a bit of land, but now you need to expand on it. Going for that vending machine that was so deadly for your early pick. The two brought upon you as Northy gets a bit of a late trade 4v4. HP is exchanged. You don't have a dock on your team, which hopefully won't be too much of a bother going into these final minute and 35 seconds. Now still keeping it in admin. Indela's wasted. They want to clear this admin 100%. They do not want to go about it in any risk situation or scenario that could get them in a bit of a trouble. Sacred with another. That's going to be the second for Minions. They keep the rain over, but not for too long. And the SMG-11, the beautiful secondary, will be making its appearance as a push comes through. 1-for-1 trade. 1v2 situation brought upon. 0-0 does manage to bring it back, and it's yet again all down to the Ying.
Yes, brought down into that 1 versus 2. They know where they are because they melee that mirror window. They need to push through. But a minute left on the clock. The gunfire goes out. The C4 prep from Maggie, and the crossfire. The question is whose reactions are better. It's going to be Zorino taking down Northy, and another round for the defense on this one. And a very, very tight round there. Honestly, I've got to say, Minions, I saw a lot of utility being used there that really shouldn't have in that admin side. They had control of it. Yes, that player was pushed out, and you see the C4 there. Right, you gotta assume that that place has contact in it, has people that you need to deal with. But then they kept on, they was using Ying to keep doors that could have been cleared with a drone. It taken a minute, it saved a lot of util for the late round. I feel like that was a bit of a mistake there. On the flip side, though, some incredible kills coming out. I mean, the aggression from one of those players there just to really get in there, just to be traded out. We are going to jump back to cameras for a moment. We could kind of comprehend where we stand now for things, because now, Bob, Solaire, they've shown that that last time wasn't necessarily a fluke that they played against Minions, because now they're 2 rounds up. They have that 3-1 advantage, and now they're going to look at most likely heading to a tertiary site, which I believe is going to be that piano site, isn't it?
For sure. I mean, they've secured the first half going into the defense, which is great and all. Getting a 4-2 the score would be preferable, especially when going in attack. It's going to be a bit more difficult, seeing as how aggressive actually the side of Minions is. Overall, a great use of utility. Wasted a bit then and there, especially a bit too much on specific characters. When we were downstairs, the Goyo, they needed 3-4 flashes to take him out. I just feel like that's a bit of a waste, especially when young Candelas are in the option. If you have a Jaeger to counter them, or a Wamai, if flashes are just chucked instead, the Incandelas can do so much more damage, especially when the Warden isn't in count. Now, again, I'm gonna be a bit going towards the past pick on the dock. I feel like maybe a Malusi pick or anything like it would have been preferable. Overall, though, it still worked out. The dock was beautiful, nice picks were added, and crossfires will held quite tightly. The information on Minions isn't also too bright. They go off of these early picks, which are great. Nothing wrong with that. But when going towards vending machines, when taking these strongholds, we saw that though could be just rush into sight. There isn't much information on anything around you, but purely what you're just looking at.
I feel like this is where, to kind of supplement a playstyle like that, a Nomad really would have come into massive play on that round. If they were able to look at going and shutting down, like just getting a dare jab down at that vending machine, that hallway door, that could have saved another player. That's another player for that late round. Another player that could maybe turn the tide off that round. Not going to happen. That is the past, so we are going to have to leave it at the moment and look towards the future. There is going to be a full rehost, it seems. So me and Bob are just going to take a very short break, but we will be back very, very soon. And by that point, well, we'll see who's able to win out. Will the Minions lead that double life and be able to win out this game where they didn't before? Or will Solaire take it out again?
By attackers.
Yellow, and welcome back to another round. We've had that break, and we do thank you for waiting, but now we're back into it because we are going to, for the first time, bomb this tertiary bomb site. It is going to be that piano area, and it is going to be the one where we see the most vertical impact coming into play, which is why that bug is already coming out alongside the Ram. What we're also going to see is arguably one of the most fluid ones in terms of how the roamers will play, and I feel like from Solaire, what we saw in that second round, where they wanted to get upstairs, they wanted to get aggressive, this might play out a little bit better for them in how that works out, because then they can retake that vertical and watch the site.
We've also seen minions have been adapting quite a bit through time, but just not enough to get themselves a bit of points racking. Solaire, they've been using the Melusi, they've been using gadgets like these throughout time and time after again, which I do love minions seeing a bit of adaptation through. We see the Ram, we see the buck change out for the Nomad, but we also see that Brava. Hacking that utility is going to be a phenomenal save of time just going through Melusis and Goyos. It's such a tidy thing to do, so getting rid of it early is a great way of going about it. Also, at the same time, getting almost rid of Flex very early. HP looking yet again very low, but the first pick isn't just yet confirmed. Greedy.
Yeah, coming close, but no cigar in this occasion. They will still have control on vertical, and the attackers know that they need to get aggressive on this top floor. Right now, though, what the defenders have done is they've set up that top floor hold. They have mirror windows again. They have these players over towards that projection room. Kind of all the good things that they had on that last time we were on this site are coming back again. The C4 does go out, doesn't find its mark, and the attackers will continue to enter unhindered at the moment. Sacred will start moving forward. This is actually something we talked about before. The drones are starting to come in a lot more. They don't have the Ying on the board to just be Ying Candelaing every corner and going in. They're thinking about where they're pushing in. That's a big thing for me.
That's a big thing. You know, thinking is something that you should consider in competitive, and shooting as well like it. Sacred lowering that HP down to 22, getting close to Flex, but not close to the Warden. Gets the opening. That's going to be beautiful. R4C in hand. It's going to be starting us off just like Blakey. He hasn't gotten the opening, but he's sure second in hand to do it. 3v5 brought on so early, and we still have Flex on 21. Minions already looking strong, but now they just can't let anything slip by. We see the Nomads possibly poorly jabbed, but in the meanwhile, we do have a second flank watch, which does get taken down. That's going to be Blakey with Zay. A beautiful shot.
Yeah, it does take some damage, but isn't taken off the board. Lands that all-important one bullet onto that head. And while our vertical control is there, these defenders have had a lot of time to adjust, maneuver, and position themselves away from these high-traffic areas, which means the attackers are going to have to get in a little bit more close. The thing is, Sacred isn't afraid to do that. Now, Zarino has run upstairs, has rotated off and gone all the way back to that main lobby side, but it doesn't mean that Sacred is going to see that he spots Maggie. But just isn't able to land a kill, does some damage, but that isn't it, Bob.
Oh, it's just not close enough, and close enough is what you need. You need to confirm these types of kills, and that's exactly what's going to be happening. Sacred catching the mute off guard. That's going to be Zarino. Now you have it down to a 4v2 doubled. The man count on the side of minions was dropped down to 3, though. In the meanwhile, I don't know what Max was looking at over there, but it wasn't anything good. Sacred with the triple. Now, secondary in hand, and finishes it off with a quad starting off in the 5th round.
A break is what we needed. I mean, we look at that last time. We talked about the impact of having that break, having that momentum just stopped. That's something the tech timeout also does. You don't want a tech timeout, but that's something that's happened there. We've seen minions come in a lot more confident, a lot more in control, and it is really all down to Sacred. That was a 4K in that round, I believe, coming out from them. Blakey kind of filling out the rest of the blanks and filling in the dots there. Very well played. The aggression was there, the droning was there, the information. There was minions seemed a lot more locked in and in control of what they were doing and what they wanted to. So that when Solaire tried to make these things happen, they tried to push up. Zarino got away with 1, but they didn't make it 2. And I feel like that's where minions really started to wake up a bit. Coming back down to this bottom floor, they've already won it once on the side of the attack. Actually, no, I don't think the attackers have won this one at all. Yeah, coming down to this spot.
Yeah, I don't believe Zach has won it, but it was still close. It was fairly close. And just like the previous round, which wasn't as close, and I feel like there have been major mistakes. If you're flank watching, you have to make sure you don't get picked. You know the Nomad edge up is gone, you hear the shots coming out, so you can expect the player being around the corner, even though you have went for quite a risky hold right then on top Visa. It just didn't work out. Same goes for the mute. I mean, Zarino, you ran. You sprinted across the hallway directly into the arms of the side of minions, which just isn't a wise choice. But we digress. We continue on to round 6. Now, this is the final one before the role swap, and we need to make it count because minions, if they go on to defense with 3-3, I think they have a bit more of a favorable position.
Exactly. This, for me, is the round of the game already so far. If they get this 3-3, go onto the defense, very, very strong attacking side. That's really what you want as an attacking side. Get that 3 rounds on the board. But the thing is, this is the map that they haven't played against Solaire before. Solaire won the next 2 maps. They won Chalet and they've won Nighthaven in that order. And it was a 7-2, 7-3. For the side of Minions, you don't want to be going into those maps and map down, having to try and bring it back there. This is the map that you need to win. A minute ticking down off the clock, and the defenders not really overpeaking at this moment. I think they realize Sacred is a little bit more awake now and here to play, so they're not giving everything away. But what that's doing is giving Minions time to do the vertical. Plague's ready to push up, but no Nomad on the board to stop them this time. It's going to be Maya who might have that opportunity. The dog scout goes out.
Shots fired, pings start dropping. 130. Still a bunch of time to work with. Great progress was made. And it starts getting briefed. A drop from the buck won't be necessary. I think that was a mistake. Maya does manage to trade it out, but Fleck gets away scot-free. 20 HP completely. He's barely hanging on by the skin of his teeth as Areno finishes off what they started. Tries to go in for a plant just out of nowhere in the middle of the field, expecting not to get shot at. 2v3 brought on to Minions as they've dug their grave deeper and deeper, and falls now as well, just letting Sacred be in a 1v3. Greedy, what happened?
The vertical's gone. They're gonna push in, they're gonna get shot out by this crossfire. That plant does not go down now. It feels like this round's just been given away, gifted to the side of Solaire as they close it out, because they got that breach open very, very fast. That was very well done of them. They had control of the verticality. They had everything they needed. The defenders were getting a little bit up close on that top floor. Maybe a flank drone would have helped, but they just really let it get away. This drop, I do not expect that to be intentional. That was a mistake, and you could see it in the buck when they're taking the gunfight. They didn't realize they were going to be in that situation, and it's painful to see because you could kind of point at that round as soon as that player dropped and the kill came out, that player over on that spiral stairs just went straight in for the kill, and that's what happened.
Exactly what happened. Whatever the case may be, though, Greedy, Minions on the defense, Solaire on the attack. But all the leave comes out. We're gonna have to just play this through, maybe a rehost, whatever the case is. We're gonna have to wait for production to confirm it. As of current, though, 2-4 is the score. About as basic as you can get, really doesn't get much further. Now, Minions, they can bring it back as their defense. With how they've been playing, I feel like defense is a bit more preferable. On the attack, they've been playing really aggressive, going for these swings that are not to be expected. And these pre-fires, they are very on point. They just don't have that information constantly with droning and maybe even the patience, which on defense, honestly, you don't need. You have the gadgets to do that for you automatically in the background while you can just shoot your guns and have a blast in your own field of area. Solaire, now on the attack, you have the advantage. You have the 2-4. 2 above. A 2-round difference is beautiful, and now you need to keep it. You need to make sure these next 3 rounds just go your way, or at least the point where you bring it in for yourselves at regulation.
Exactly. The big thing for me, though, is this Valkyrie ban. I mean, look at Bravo right now. You talk about the importance of it. They've already got that Visa cam. The Warden's going to try and shut it down, but they can't. Additionally, they have a second gadget in pocket. They can take away a lot of these default cams, a lot of that utility in the form of, I believe it is just these meat jammers, but they can get rid of it. That means that that passive utility you talked about isn't really going to be there anymore. Now, Unfolds is going to be sat up all the way towards his admin side, quite possibly locked in by themselves if the attackers decide to take that control, but decide to cut them off. But at the top moment, it seems like Solaire, with that player down disadvantage already, aren't really going to do much with it. They're going to get just that information. They've got the Bravo. They can deny the defenders. They're going to take control of it. Right now, though, Plagues is going to just jump in, evens out that man count, and with 2 minutes on the clock, they couldn't have found a better time to do so.
Even with a player down, Sacred is going to continue with a double for the side of Minions. A beautiful pick, and the second one looking to find the third, and that's exactly what Plex is going to do. 3v3 brought along, evening it out for the second time. The equalizer comes around, but not too long, and just as I say it, it's down yet again to both players on both these teams. It's the Mute, the Azami versus the Brava and the Ace. The supports, these supports, right now looking at 1 minute and 30. Minions took it very fastly again to try and retake that advantage or disadvantage they got at the very start. The shotgun from up close will be doing great damage, but not as great as Class Up just waiting on the side of Spiral.
Yes, another 1 versus 1. Fouls and Class Up all in this to themselves. Now, this round could have gone very, very different if we just saw somebody watching the right way before with Plagues. But now that doesn't matter. A minute left on the clock, time to drone. They're going to use that time. Again, we talked about all this util being taken away. They know the player's in bathroom. But Fouls hasn't spotted the drone. Slowly peeks out. They don't know that they know they're there. The pre-fire comes out. It's going to be Claz finding that kill and finding the first attacking round for Solaire. Very well played. But I've got to be honest, I wish I saw a little bit more control, a little bit more aggression from the rest of the attackers when those first kills came out. They should have been a lot more on the heels of Blix for me.
Definitely, I agree with you there. But overall, we just see how better Solaire is at using this type of intel. Overall,
Yeah.
they've used drones constantly. At the same time, they even had a player leave and still managed to bring it back, equalize it time after time again. And now we're looking 5-1 round away from match point for Solaire on the first map. And like you said, this is the map that Minions have not played against Solaire in the past or anywhere. So they should normally take it. This would be preferable because from the track record, the next two maps shouldn't be easy for them at all. They've lost them in the past. It's the present now, and you need to make changes in the future, or you need to make them now because you are looking 2 rounds away from losing the first.
Exactly, and the mental game is really what's going to come into effect here on this one, Bob, because if they lose this game, they've just lost on their map. They've just lost on the map they haven't played against before. They're going to go somewhere that they know they have lost. They know that Solaire have proven to be the better team before, even though on paper they shouldn't be. How is that going to play into the mind of these players? I don't think these players have as much mental experience as some other players might do, so that might be a massive, massive impact onto this for me. But one other thing I want to point out, Solaire, I've got to give him credit where it's due. How many times did you say, and it's evened up again in that last round, Bob?
About 2-3 times, yeah.
Quite a few. That's pretty much every gunfight coming out. We're seeing Solaire able to even things out. And that's what I'm really worried for the side of Minions when they're on the defense, when Solaire is that 5th player on the board. How much of this refrag really going to have that impact?
Minions, we love that you can frank. We love that you can use your guns and you're confident with your abilities to shoot them. But Siege just isn't all about it. You need to use your utility careful, and you need to have some sort of intel constantly. Yet again, you're on the defense. This should be your playthrough. This should be where the attackers are forced to push you and give you constant intel through legions, Malusis, cameras, you name it. In the end, though, it's quite reversed, and it has been throughout the entirety of the match. Although this is a perfect example. They started off strongly. Sacred, opening pick. It's going to be onto the Ash. But now the flashes are coming out, and it's looking a bit troublesome. They go for these aggressive plays, but in the end, it just doesn't work out. Maya, that was just not it.
How do you lose those? I hate being critical, but you really have to win those if you're trying to get that huge impact play. Because now that 2-player advantage is now a 1-player advantage. My heart taken off the board, now resigned to the cameras. Yes, the dock stims are going to come through onto Northy to get them back into that admin. But are Solaire even going to bother? They got 1 player droning in, 1 player looking to put the pressure on. And as a util goes through, that player Northy is now going to be attempted to get pushed out. It's going to be Zerino looking to do it, uses that SMG-12, doesn't find a kill. It's going to be Northy getting one of their own and backing out the 2 versus 4. This round might not be over for Solaire, but it's going to be a big climb, and have they got their hiking shoes on? Maggie certainly doesn't. Class up. You're going to have to clutch up.
Solaire really wishing they had the stims for themselves right now. Seems like Minions interpreted that. They've seen that they either win gunfights and get downed, or lose a bunch of HP. Doc, perfect solution. You've mentioned it earlier, and this is the point that they really brought upon us. First round seeming to be a bit more favorable for Minions. We still have 1 more player to take care of, although I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. It's a 1v4 really. You're looking at close quarters against MP5s and shotguns, SMG11s and 12s, you name it. Guns are completely outmatching you in this situation. You are outside, and probably using these last 15 seconds to not only necessarily KD save, also get some docks through. Right now, Solaire, you have a great score. Look at the round advantage. It's going to soon turn from 3-2. That's still all right. You still get it. You still have it, and that's the main point. And as long as you can advance onto it and get a 7-5, 7-4, 7 to blank, it's still a win for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the big thing here with this is they're taking the time, like you say, to have a look at what happened in that round. Having a conversation, say, right, guys, let's reset the mental. Let's just think, what happened in that round? It's a little bit aggressive. I feel like you've got to assume in that case that Zenmyo, or Flick, sorry, lost that gunfight, that would have been 3 players down very, very quickly over towards that admin side. Minions have got that very aggressive playstyle. They had the Doc to back it up, and Solaire kind of played into it quite comfortably. Now, though, they're going to have to head to that bottom floor, and you can see that the operators on that lineup definitely indicate a certain style of play. We're going to see Shock and all. We're going to see the Ram up above with the buck, get that verticality done. Thermite and Doc, we're going to focus with this breach, with the utility they have. And then on that last one of Magix, sorry, I'll let you figure that one out, Bob.
No, let's stick with Magix. Let's just stick with Magix. It's supposed to be Magix, of course. We can see the SL at the end. Overall, Magix sounds magical. Sounds like a funny little word. But
It's also
overall,
another player.
that is true. So we do have to stick to the so-called unwritten rules of actually pronouncing a player correctly. Now, minions, 3 to 5, getting closer to that 5-5, but yet again, you need to win a couple more. And I'm not too confident. Well, of course, I support them. I am an avid Bonji enjoyer, but Minions bringing it out, you know, you've been quite confident in the gun skill, and hopefully, the slug shotgun, the absolute pipe, the one-tap, some may call it, could be a good combination. It really could complement the playstyle. And not only that, but Maya is bringing out the Legion shotgun.
I mean, the Boss G isn't really a slug shotgun. It's more of a brick shotgun.
Okay, yeah.
The Legion one, I feel like it's got a special place in my heart because it isn't that go-to weapon. The T5 SMG is amazing. But that shotgun can really put a hurting on, and it's the fast fire rate. That's the really big draw of the gun, I find, for a lot of teams. They are able to get a lot of rounds downrange very quickly. Now, the first Dockerby scan does come out. The side of Solaire will move up in that top floor, but Unfaust is ready and waiting. Blitz going to be jumping down below. Magi looking to back things up over towards that bathroom side, but Unfaust will be taken down by Flicks. And now the Blitz is going to move towards those yellow stairs and might be the perfect operator to deal with this Legion, as long as they don't get hit by these gooners, because that can cause the big issue. The Romans are starting to pull back. The defenders need to get back at the site. They've already killed the Ram. They're just going to have to accept that that buck is going to get verticality done.
You mentioned those Legions being a bit of a hindrance towards Magus, and that's exactly what's happening. Peek. Oh, but it's a bit too close. The Legion does manage to escape away, trying to use that shotgun in close range, as you should, against the A-train of Rainbow Six Siege. But again, the advancement is made. The Blitz is just too fearsome of an operator, especially as you mentioned previously. The shields got a great buff, and it's working in their favor quite greatly. Going into the last minute, though, Breach is coming out a bit late, and not too confidently, I would say. With a bit of verticality is always great, but you need to watch out for any flankers coming up as the so-called Sacred makes his approach.
They're going to head up those spiral stairs, going to look to catch that buck off guard. And like you say, as this breach does start to look at it, does get open. Defenders now push back. This is where Buck's really going to come into play. If they can shut down that freedom of movement of the defense, this is where the attack really goes in favor of Solaire. Able to find that mirror, takes down that window player. And now with that Vigil up above, they don't know this Sacred's going to find Plagues. And now it's a 3 versus 2 on site. And now Flick's going to take her down. Northy and Myha, they need to make something happen. The Legion has low HP, and the Blitz knows where they're coming. They need to know that backup's coming. The Blitz gets taken down by Northy. And now it's all down to the 2v2.
All down to the 2v1. Maya, the shotgun, so strong and comboed with Northy's MP7 is going to be a beautiful way of finishing it about. And again, Minions take the defensive round. Quite close yet again going into that final phase. The breach out, the verticality is getting you some picks, but a good approach from the Vigil. We saw it go up. We saw it get a beautiful pick. And overall, it was fantastic. They managed to retake to some extent, and they managed to bring it down, even though with some carelessness from Solaire exposing itself. Not real much of a clue what the Blitz was on about when towards approaching the Legion with a shield completely exposed. But Minions will be taking their first time out, as now they are 1 round behind Solaire.
Yeah, the defense really starting to kick in for them now. You can see that, okay, this is a much better spot to be in. They've got those 2 rounds on the defense as opposed to Solaire's 1 round this half. In doing so, this is where the big challenge arises. They're going to head down to that tertiary site. This is where we've seen Solaire really start to kind of struggle on their side. But more importantly, for me, heading down to this site, this is when we might actually see these runners really start to come into their own for the side of Minions. We saw Myha, we saw Sacred, all the way on that top floor, really putting the pressure on the attackers. I feel like Solaire, they maybe got a little bit cocky when they were going up on that roam clear. They were taking a lot of gunfights. They lost their ram very quickly. At the end of that last round, they didn't have that verticality because the buck had to drop and had to push. And that's where that player was able to get a lot more gunfights and Northey was able to really win out that round. We can't really see a mistake like that happening this time. We can't really see them losing such a key player so quickly. Now, though, with the Dockerbee, the Dockerbee in this one, I really like because it just does shut the defense so much. The Bravo, Ram, Buck, and Ace combo, I mean, there's not really much to say about it, is there?
No, there is not. Even though Solaire, they do have some sort of advantage still going for them. In order for them to actually get to match point as soon as they can, they need to realize what was right when it worked and what is going wrong as of current. Earlier, they used the... Even when in a 4v5, they managed to even it out, time after time again. In the end, a beautiful strategizing with the drones. Pre-placed them, used them well, took a lot of ground, a lot of shadow presence, just to keep minions in complete contention, even if you aren't there. It's this pressure that they created, and these picks that they managed to reevaluate, even after a teammate is down. You have to connect like the stars in the sky. You have to make sure if one of yours goes down, you try to trade it out for one, maybe a 2-for-1 deal in the end. Whatever the case may be, Solaire, you had a great route on the upstairs. And we're on the upstairs yet again, Greedy. It's up to them to make sure it repeats.
Yeah, the thing is about this top floor, though, is exactly that. It is a top floor defense. Until those last 30 seconds, that's when you drop down, that's when you have to worry about that bottom floor, but you have to keep it in your mind the whole time. That's why these verticality operators are here. And I feel like this top floor, this mirror of Blakey is going to have a real big presence in this round so far. Right now, time is ticking down half a minute off the clock already, and it looks like the attackers are starting to just get the info there. They haven't done any droning really. They haven't really looked to see where they can make the sentry point. They're just sat on there, getting the drones in, get the information, know what they want to do, coordinate, because that's the most important bit. Now they just start making their presence over towards the admin side. Pushing it together, something I didn't actually see a lot from Minions, as we see these two players entering together ready, just in case they need to refrag. And Flix will start to take these first gunfights, maybe unaware of that player, that top spiral that might put the pressure on. Yellow ping there, though, will give that information away. They know they're there now.
Solaire really turned Minions gunfights into 1v2s for themselves, which is great. Minions, if you go for 1v1s, you'll probably win them. You have really confident abilities in gunfights, but these wings that make it completely outnumbered. Flix with a beautiful start. That's going to be the opening pick. Almost a second one onto Northey, 10 HP, looking as low as he possibly can be. The stem come out, but you have three people in one corner and one mirror window. It's very dangerous. You get exposed, you run across the field, but Falls does manage to slip by just barely. A questionable decision. They are brought back. We have one on site, three upstairs, and you need to start taking them out. A refract comes out from Northey, a late one at that, as Plagues the Buck. One of the vertical operators is now officially out, but you still have the Ram to take care of, and the rest of the three on Solaire.
Yeah, a lot have gone on that top floor, but now they need to start thinking about heading down below. Falls is going to make that a problem as Flix gets taken away. The Dockerbee scans already be used, yes, don't get me wrong, but look at the KDs. Flix really driving things up for the side of Solaire, and now taken off the board as well. Their opposite number, Northey, though, at the top of the other side of the leaderboard, is going to have something to say about the fact Blakey's just been taken down. Looks down below with the verticality, tries to take a refrag, and is going to be able to do it, but it's going to be Klaza finding not one but two as Blakey falls full. And now with 30 seconds left on the clock, the verticality not in their control. In a 2 versus 2 Zarino, Sacred, Northey, and waiting. That case is not in pocket here, and that might be a problem.
Time is a limited thing, and so are the people you have on your team. Class up with a third, finds Sacred, and now it's all left down to Northey to finish what they started. You have kept the verticality, but can you play off of it safely? The plant is slowly going down. The HP isn't looking too good for Solaire, at least. Class up, who isn't planting, surprisingly, but now you're on that mark, that time limit against yourselves. 40 seconds, he does find the opening, but now you need to get the second one. Drop right into the hands of the R4C, 3 HP, you need to find the headshot. You need to make it quick, otherwise one bullet is all that is needed to finish you. Trying to go for a bit of a mind game, a Scooby-Doo episode, but you look away at the wrong time, giving Solaire another round.
Yeah, the rotate, the sprint animation, just giving away that audio cue and the ping comes out. Solaire got onto match and map point on this one. They still have another map to go, at least. But they are one round closer to closing down this one. Very well played from them. It came up down to, I feel like that Legion kill, if we saw Mayaha just backing up and not going for that gunfight, that really could have had a completely different turn of events, because we might have seen Plagues get taken down so much quicker. They might have had a lot more to worry about. Ultimately, though, they took control of that top floor. They realized they weren't going to keep it, so they dropped down, and they managed to get underneath those defenders. They really hit them with that unexpected execute. That was magical for me. And they pushed in, found the pick, got control of the site. The fact that it just didn't line up for Minions with the verticality, they weren't able to find those spots, they weren't able to find the lines of sight, that's heartbreaking. But for Minions, that's the round you can afford to lose. This one and the next one really aren't, especially on these bomb sites. Because, Bob, this top floor and the bottom floor, they are the ones you expect to win, aren't they?
Yes, they surely are. The fear factor is now picked up by Solaire. That's that match point. Looking really, really strong against Minions, because now they have to win 2 in a round. One of them goes away, and we're going over to map number 2. Solaire, they're confident. They can sit back, relax, and enjoy these next 2 as much as they can. They don't really need to stress over about it too much, because that overtime is going to be a second chance overall. Same could not be said for Minions. You're looking very uncomfy. You're back on your defense. You've been good on it, and it's not the attack that you have to worry about. This information hopefully is going to be relayed through whatever gadgets you have, the Goyos, the Miras, you name it, the main cams. In the end, Solaire, if they play this correctly, we could have a bit of an earlier finish than is to be expected. Starting off, a bit of a spread. We've been seeing from Minions quite a bunch. You said it, Solaire play together, Minions don't. They spread around, they make sure to cover as much as possible, but that puts them in disadvantageous fights.
Yeah, but what I like is this adaptation we've seen. They've brought out that Nomad again and the Grim. So the Grim's very good for spotting players who are currently on a site and really just locking them in position. Think of Docker Beam. A Nomad does a very similar role, but very differently. They watch those flanks, and then by putting an air jab on a staircase, you have to give an audio cue when you're trying to flank somebody. You have to either shoot it or set it off. Either way, that will give you away, and the attackers will have a very good idea that you're coming. Verticality will start off by the buck. Very careful, Blix, not to stay in the same place. There's no doubt learned the very hard way a number of times that those go both ways, no matter how fast you are. Right now, the defender will be running over to try and get them, but they're trying to open up that most of that site there in CEO. They're able to do it, but not before Norley finds that kill. And in doing so, Clazup will have an answer. But the thing is here now that they've opened up an answer. Oh, Blakey! Why are you standing there, picked off by Flix by the window?
Not a wise decision. Underway, the Grim Bees are starting to make an appearance. Now the verticality is not only being used to try and kill people, but also to get picked off. Maxeya with another equalization. The second one has been brought up quite commonly. The Blitz Magisol is now stuck on the side of yellow. The Goyo canisters you need to start ticking down. And same could be said for the entirety of Solaire, as they have bunched up on just this one corridor, which will hopefully be enough pressure to push out anyone contesting. Still not sure, Minions, you don't have the information, which you should. You should be keeping it quite strong, but they don't. They're now guessing. It's a guess game for them as of current. A puzzle trying to piece out where anyone is. Shotgun's up close, but won't be finishing it off. Same could be said for the Capital. 1 HP. Unfalls manages to save one head, and at the same pick one for himself. The drop in from the window comes out. The plant could be beautiful as one pick is brought onto the Goyo. The second one is refragged as an Unfalls manages to just claim the fifth.
I don't know how to say that. I mean, Sacred shouldn't be swinging that. The last bullet coming out from the Capital didn't get the kill, and then that player gets back up. Oh, there's a lot of plays on here that I feel like both teams are just really desperate to make sure they win out these rounds, and it goes in favor of Minions today, but it might go in favor of Solaire the next time. This is where I start to worry, because this is the round that you have to win. For me, though, that round really shut down as soon as that verticality was taken down. The defenders, a couple of players up, they had that control, and immediately then the attackers that are trying to push out that yellow says they don't have that support. They don't have the players watching these key positions for the defenders, and that's where the defense really started to shine. They could get aggressive. Sacred could just swing. They really shouldn't, but they could. And that's where that round really ended for me. I mean, a couple of amazing kills coming out, but they just weren't the ones that were needed for either side until the very end there, and that's when Minions really locked in that last 10 seconds. Heading down to this bottom floor again, what I want to see from Solaire to close this down, is that I know they can do it. is a lot tighter roam clear on this top floor. That's where their first problem started to arise, and that is what kind of stuck with them for the rest of that round last time we were here.
Minions now yet again downstairs, going for a very similar approach this time around as they always have downstairs, going for that Legion, the Bosch G, the Mira Bandit, you name it. The loadouts are looking very similar on both teams. Also the Blitz making a second appearance. That's going to be magical. Hopefully not going for the same fate of exposing your shield to the side as it was formerly shown. Overall, top to down clear. It's what you need to do. Roamers and fraggers or flankers for minions have been quite deadly. They have changed the tide of the battle in the late game, which you really don't want. There's a reason roam clearing is a thing in Rainbow Six Siege. Starting it off quick though, Agisol taking some minor damage. In the meanwhile, taking very risky takes, going up close, the SMG-12, you look away, and that's going to be flexed with the opening.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said. They had that run clear. They got that player off very, very quickly. And Sacred as well. Nordy and Sacred really driving a lot of these frags up. And now Unforced has to drop back down. Those roamers cannot stay up there in that same strong position because they have that player disadvantage. Losing another body now is all but certainly ending the round, especially with the Vert on the board. Very well played for the side of Solaire. They did exactly what they needed to do, but they have not completed the job yet. There is a lot more to get done. The verticality begins. Hopefully we don't see a buck dropping down these stairs. And if they're able to do that, I'm sure they'll be very, very happy indeed. The Blitz starting to move down those yellow stairs. Very powerful in that short corridor, just like you mentioned the clashes, but slowed down by these goon mines. Just like Nomads, you have to give away your position in some way or another. A minute 20 on the clock.
Take out the majority of them. Sorry to cut you off there.
That's fine. A minute 20 on the clock. It's going to be happening soon.
Well, the action is just rising up, just getting to the tension. Slowly the clock ticks down, and slowly this could be the decider. Minions, you have a rough start, and you brought about poor showcase to that roam clear or roam shower. Now you need to make up for it in this late round. You don't have the abilities or the gadgets for it. You threw them all around site, and now you have to focus off of these guns alone. Pligs will be showing exactly that. Maxea now off the board. 3v5 flashes coming out. Bandit, Northy, he tries to execute off of them. He tries to ping the Blitz, and just a peek from Zarina will be quite questionable. But yet again, it's just too much to handle. C4's Plagues with the second 2v5. Plant is going down from your right. You don't expect it. Those verticalities, you're completely shut down from all sides. As Solaire take the first map, going 7-5, finishing it off with that advantage and making it count.
I've got to give Solaire so much credit as they're able to win that game out. Yes, it took a couple more rounds than we expected to, with them getting that 7-3 scoreline. 7-4 scoreline, sorry, but for me, at that round, that was what they really, really needed. They dealt with the room clear issues they had on top. They realized, okay, maybe that blitz going in just one by one at the site wasn't the way to go. What they did then as well was quite simple, but it worked. They had that vertical control. They had those players on the flank watch that needed to be there. As a result, Sacred, that we saw had a massive impact the last time we were there, did not have that again. And Solaire, they will, quite closely, as it started to get a little bit at the end, they will be able to take map 1. And now we're going to have a look towards Chalet, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Chalet, being the most common of maps in this current stage, is going to be an interesting one. It will really show what teams can do. But as for now, we have to wait. We have to give these teams a bit of a rest, give our voices a bit of a rest, and I do believe we should be taking just a minor amount of a break, as we'll be seeing you soon. And we are back. We said we would be. Come on, what did you expect? It was a short while, and that's exactly what we brought you. But it's still lurking around. The question, who will take this? It's Chalet for map number 2, and it's Creedy joining along. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, which is probably better than Minions are feeling at the moment. We've just seen that game, which was 7-5. Very, very good game for both teams, but Solaire able to just edge it out just a little bit more. But this is where things really, I'm starting to worry for Minions, because that mentality is going to be a little bit shaken by that first victory. They had a couple of opportunities to bring it back, but they weren't able to. Now we've got to head to Chalet, and the last time these two teams fought each other on Chalet, it was a 7-2 in favor of Solaire, which, if you're the minions, doesn't seem very good because you got to win this game, Bob, to get to Nighthaven. And the last time they went up against Nighthaven, Solaire won it out as well.
Yeah, it was quite a rough one in the past. But yet again, we had the time to improve, and minions, although for the first map you didn't have Gru to lead your hand through it, hopefully they've had the time to adapt, and now it's going to be showing if they can overcome. In the past, if they play Shallow, I don't have the exact date of when these two teams faced each other in the past, but I'm going to assume it was a bit earlier when the Chalet rework came about. That's going to be an assumption, which means Chalet has been adapted way more since then. It has been the most common map. It has basically replaced Oregon, and at the same time, it's a map that really offers all sides. It's a beauty of a map, if you ask me. And at the same time, we're going to operator bans. Critty, any predictions?
I think we're going to see something very similar. We're seeing that Ying being banned out by the side of Minions. This really doesn't surprise me. Minions, they tried using it quite a bit, but they didn't really get much benefit out of it. Whereas Solaire, they were able to use like those Candelas a little bit more effectively. And as Minions are saying, well, we didn't get much out of it. They did. Let's get it out of there. Monty going to follow really doesn't surprise me. And the last time these two teams faced up, it was actually a Monty and Ying ban last time. So at the moment, I'm expecting an Azami and Goyo ban to kind of follow the trend as it was, but that might change. But the both operators, no doubt, so impactful on a map like Chalet.
Without a doubt. Kate is going to be the first opening defender ban, which is completely reasonable. Just like Monty, just like Ying. I would say he isn't as common. I wouldn't say he is as spread out on maps. But when it comes to maps like Chalet, Clubhouse, where hatches are really strong, he is definitely a pick to go for. Just like Valkyrie. Valkyrie is a bit more out there and can vary from map to map, maybe a bit more stronger on Cafe. Chalet is no exception. She is basically the best intel gathering operator without a doubt. Cameras, very small, fit anywhere, throw them, chuck them, you have them. It's a huge range of motion they have with it as well. So it's just a beautiful operator that brings also a C4 and the MPX, the headshot machine. Picks on the operator bands are going to be, I'd say, all-rounded, not too much focusing. I would have maybe expected a bit of Grim action. Grim is also quite a comfortable operator to play on this map, but to each their own. We head into the first defense, where minions are going to be starting off with the Frost, the Goyo, the Melusi, the Rooney, and the Fenrir, which, Gritty, I don't know myself. Well, I do, because that is a huge amount of just denial all around.
Exactly, so the very last thing these attackers are going to want to do is get stuck in this piano corridor. For the very simple reason of the Fenrir, Azami, Goyo. Those three operators can really shut a lot of things down because, first of all, you go into piano hallway, you try and push that area, there's an Azami barricade to deal with, or a barrier, sorry. That's going to be so difficult. You finally clear it out, you clear out the player in piano hallway, and then suddenly that Aruni gate comes into play. As soon as Aruni is putting the pressure on those attackers, they've wasted more utility to clear it. That's when the Ghost Shield pops, that's the time waste. They finally push in, and then they've got to deal with what is no doubt going to be a Fenrir and a Melusi there as well. They are looking to just slow down this attacking side, and taking away the Monty really plays into that for minions. Because they don't have that just brute force brick wall that can take everything you throw at it. These attackers have to be very careful, they have to be very precise in what they do, very mindful, very demure. Right now though, Solar are going to start moving in down below. A player swap is going to come through, and we will see Cyril and Charlie joining out the team of Solaire at the moment, looking to drive this thing home for them. And they will face a little bit of pressure towards that bar area. There we go.
Bar area, which is being contested by Northy, who gets the opening onto the so-called bar double window. Starting it off onto the Twitch is going to be a beautiful way, which is, again, it's one of those run operators. We have three of them. We have the Bravo, the Floors, which are all counters to what minions are bringing. The Goyos, the Melusis, the Frost, the Rooney, that just got taken out by Plagues. Another trade, another refract. But yet again, we need to look forward. We need to look into the future a bit more, because as of current, it's 1-for-1. Not much has changed, and we're back to square one, still looking to find those picks, clear utility, and not waste too much time. Minions, you still have so much to face up against. And right now, the face-off starting just on the side of Library Stairs. Library still contested strong, and it seems like Solaire are picking all for it. Plays going off of those windows, but Northy is going to be returning the fire from the exact same position.
Yeah, the big thing is with that piano hallway window not getting the kill over towards Bez, that means that these defenders still have a good position. So Riot will be able to clear out that player, but now time ticks down. A minute left on the clock, and while Breach is open, a lot of that utility still stands there. The Gauss canister is going to waste a lot of time as more Ace and Salma charges will go down. With a minute left on the clock, Blakey and Northy have time. The big thing is that we saw the kill from Maxiyar and Charlie. Maxiyar, all their util went down. Charlie, they hadn't used it. They hadn't been able to use a lot of these switch drones. They haven't taken out a lot of this utility. That's going to be down to the remaining 3 players with 40 seconds left. They need to start doing it now. That piano hallway isn't going to be a avenue you can push, but that breach is on the piano hallway. Problem is, it's going to be covered. Time 30 seconds now. The attackers are going to look to make their move. The util starts going through. It tries to get the barricade. It's going to flash out the player, but Sorai has an answer. Finds one. Looks for the last player, but isn't able to get it. Magi will. And the attackers of Solar will get that first round on the board, but I've got to say it was a bit shaky.
It was a bit shaky indeed, especially going towards that end. I don't want to necessarily pinpoint or choose to aim a finger towards those flashes coming out from the side of Fluke Balcony, which in the end didn't help out to cut off much rotation for minions at all. Overall, good picks, good way of ignoring a lot of utility. They didn't really focus on piano itself. They didn't go for contesting it. They let the defense spread across it, which just meant a good choke was brought upon it. The defense was basically stuck in there holding angles and playing long sights, which is not advantageous going up against guns like AKs and really strong ARs, which attack has preferable frag potential over the defense. We go on to round number 2, and yet again, we see minions completely same lineup besides the Doc, which is going to be an interesting switch up for the Rooney. We saw earlier Solaire really brought those drones out, and they're bringing them out yet again. The Twitch does get switched out for a Sentry, which is going to be a good addition. Those secondaries are beautiful all along the way. The Bravo and the Floors, though, are perfect counters for what we have going on here. We have the Bravo to hack the Malusis, to hack whatever Fenrir's, main cameras, you name it, and at the same time, the Floors to just wipe out Shields, Frosts, and Goyos.
And ideally Malusis as well. True. With this, I want to look at this lineup change and say, Maxiyar, the positioning here is more important than the lineup operator that you're playing. I feel like they've got off the Aruni because, like they say, Solaire didn't really bother with a lot of these positions that had the Aruni gates on them. As a result, then, they've just said, well, we didn't get much out of it. Let's switch to something we have. And on Counselor, they had a really good use of that dock, really good understanding how to play it and when. But for me, the positioning for Maxiyar is going to be key. They were droned out from that double window and library, and they were picked off without Maxiyar even being aware. So you need to be careful. Speaking of being careful, somebody has just gone unnoticed in that basement. That is going to be something that they'll bank on for later. But right now, Sunrise will move towards blue, will do a bit of damage to Sacred, but doesn't find his mark. Now the question is, as they think about going solo, do they try and contest that? But who comes up this west wing stairs? That's going to be in the back of my mind the whole round, and that's something Solaire need to worry about.
They definitely have to worry about it, as they have a lurker downstairs. The Ash also having a bit of those breaches, could be making some verticals, but does go off of a bit of fireplace. Goes up to mezzanine, taking a quick glance over at what can be taken over. The Floors is well supporting with the drone, not having much of a care if anyone's going to be swinging. Minions don't take the opportunity, and it could be coming in to bite them in the back. But Sacred is going to be taking a bite over 2 rises, which is going to be just yet another start. It's going to be a good one, but now you have to keep it up. You really need that constant the constant pressure that you just built up. Pressure is coming out from the breach. A bit of a pick, a double is brought for the side of Solaire. A beautiful kill, and the second, both from the side of Plinks. You're in a disadvantage. 1 minute and 10.
Yeah, very, very strong start there, able to jump in and get that gunfight. The thing is now, though, minions are in a situation where these players over Lord Solar have to be aware of a flank. They have to be aware of the push. And as Maxiyar will head down below, tries to get that pick over towards Piano, isn't able to find it. And now it's all down to Northy and Blakey. Northy finding one of their own and bringing us down to a 2 versus 2. But now the attackers know there's only one player on site. They can hit it hard, they can hit it fast. They can get a plant down before Northy has the chance to get up those stairs. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Looking out of that window, I don't think Blakey is aware the player overlords that bathroom. And now the 2 MP5 heroes, the MP5 and the MP7 hero, will have to bring it back. 8 seconds left on the clock. The attackers have now become the defense. As Charlie's able to find North, he looks for Blakey, but can't find him just yet. The swing with Charlie is going to be able to find him. And another round and another successful attack on that top floor.
Indeed it is. Solaire keeping up the pressure, keeping up the contention. They started it off well, and they're going to continue through it. Even if that double 2-for-1 deal is brought against you, you still just manage to push through, to penetrate that defense that is such a bother to go through. Minions, the information wasn't there. Even in the end, you saw the two final players completely lost in their tracks, trying to find their way. Is it bathroom? Are we going to get pushed? Is the plant going down, or is it not? Where's my Malusi? Where's my Fenrir? You name it. It just wasn't there. The chemistry wasn't clicking, and overall, you were leaving yourselves to 2v1s. The Fenrir goes for a peek. He gets taken out. The Malusi then left in a 1v2 either way, which, of course, it's an unfavorable situation again, and of course, it is going to be lost. Second round in a row to Solaire, keeping it flawless just as for now. Earlier, Minions did manage to bring it back, although this time they are the ones starting on defense, and they should be the one claiming as much rounds as they can. If they want to go positive into the half match, they need to win 4 in a row and then go over to attack. Overall, this isn't too much of a bother, I say. I think defense and attack are still interchangeable, especially on a map like a Chalet, Oregon, Clubhouse, which is just so used to by all of these players. Overall, though, it's still not a good score to start off with.
The thing is, I feel like this map is, like you say, it's the most balanced in terms of side pick that we can see really in the map pool at the moment, aside from say border. It is, like you say though, it is still defender-sided, so you would still be looking at Minions to pick up these rounds, and at the moment they've been unable to do that, which does worry me a little bit for the mindset. But it isn't out of it yet. They can still turn it around. We saw it on Consulate. They picked it up. They just need to do it a little bit more on this one. Very, very early entrance from Surprises here on the knock. We'll be looking to put pressure on that top floor. Maxiyar and Nordy, though, will be pressuring them. And we might have to deal with some vertical play as well. Backing up that knock and just making life a little bit harder.
Now making slow advancements towards that verticality. Going for quick, short executes. Jumping in. Solaire still using that utility alongside the information is going to be a great way of handling the way you want to puncture through. Minions, how are you going to respond? You haven't been picking up the call just as of yet. You haven't really been laying down bricks. And at this point, your house is just going to crumble down if nothing is changed. Again, damage was firstly brought on to Solaire, but it just doesn't seem like you can keep it up. That adrenaline rush that you get once that first kill is kept, keep it up. Keep the strength and play off of it.
But to keep that strength up again, that first kill, they need to get the first kill. That's something that hasn't happened for either side just yet. Flores Jones will go through, start causing pressure, and it looks like it's going to be Plagues again on the entry, again on that top floor, able to find a big save. And has an answer of their own. Found a good quick 2 to start things off for the attack, but are they expecting the other players to be there? Yes, they are. Maxiyar gets taken down, and now it's down to the 2 defenders down on site to try and shut things down. But look at how much time they still have on the attack.
It doesn't matter though. One more pick. It's almost looking like a flawless. The Frost makes it 1. The second for Blakey to finish it off. 34 HP and 415 combined for the 2 supports. But it doesn't matter. Zerono comes around the corner swinging from Trophy and finishes what was to be started a triple kill for him, I do believe, as Solaire claimed the 3rd. And now they can't go into a loss of the first half. They are either going to be 3-3 or better. They're positive or they're a draw going into the first half match, and it's just looking that much better going into the second. It was a beautiful start. Minions, they keep on giving them these 1v1s time after time again. They are not playing together as they should and not playing off of any intel that they can. They have the aggression, I can give them that. They're confident in their gun skill, and they swing a lot. But they just don't make it work together. They need to play as a hive mind, and right now, they're soloing it like there are 5 people playing a ranked match.
Yeah, here's the thing. There's the max kills on the side of Minions at the moment is 3. And as much as we've talked about how this game is strategy, coordination, it's information, there is the element of gunplay. We are seeing the clash come out on this one from Nordy. And honestly, I think Nordy might be the wrong person to put it on. At the moment, they've been really good at picking up frags. Especially in this game, they've been the only one to really do it. Blakey got a couple of at the end there. I feel like taking the gun off that player isn't maybe the best decision to do that at the moment. But for me, at this moment, 7 kills on the side of Minions.
That's right.
Pigs and Sorizes have that together.
Yeah.
This is the turnaround. They can't afford to lose a single other round, because if they lose that round, they're just going to be in a horrible situation going onto the attack. Then they've got to play a perfect game of Siege, really, at this point from now on, just to make it to map 3.
They really have to put these puzzle pieces together, and as you said, if they don't, I think history will repeat itself. 2-0 will be for Solaire to claim, because right now the score that they're leading with is already brilliant enough for them to be quite interested in just keeping it up. They definitely have something running for them. And Minions, you already lost 3 rounds in a row. Right now, they should probably be also taking a bit of a timeout. If possible, take it as soon as you can. It's these round after round, just repetitive rounds or victories that get shut down by that so-called timeout. Defending the verticals, though. Nomad is brought out. And Northy, he doesn't have the guns. He does have a bit of support from the dock, which is going to be a great time waste. The main issue is, though, once that clash is gone, what is their strategy or way of going about it going to be? Doesn't matter, though. Sacred, who does find Plagues, who has been the hot hand of the side of Solaire. A beautiful start, a not-so-beautiful continuation, as Charlie will be finding a bit of a trade.
Yeah, able to find that. Now, the thing is, for me, I'm not sure that Doxton we saw from Sacred was the best use of that. Putting on the other Clash, who is going to be taking a gunfight and will not be seeing any benefit of that HP at the moment. Now, I feel like I want to see a bar games at this late point in this first half so far, but that's not what we're going to see at the moment. Hopefully next round, but Fowls is going to take some damage on that bottom floor as they try and escape. The big pressure is this Solar side. It's going to be my axe that drops down, able to find the kill after Sorizes, but the answer is going to be there on the players on this top floor. They will have that verticality, but with a minute left on the clock, the Clash seems to be working and at least having an intended effect as Blakey gets another. What a C4 to come out and gets the advantage for was the first time in this game for the Minions. And it looks like Charlie's able to try and find something, but Naughty pulls out the gun.
Siege timing at its finest. 2 times we've already seen people look away, and those exact 2 times is when the opposition has peaked. 30 seconds. Zerino, you're not looking like you're gonna win this one. I am positive towards, possible situations or clutches. They're always great. It's a 4v1 against a Clash, and you have 20 seconds. You're sitting outside, really regaining a bit of a timeout for yourselves. You don't need to waste it, but you can gain it just by wasting those last 15 seconds, not necessarily pushing, saving the KD, and getting a bit of a talk through. Solaire, this round was not yours to claim. This was a complete switch of turns, and bringing that Clash seemed to be a good option. But yet again, I don't think that was the main point. The Clash, okay, good time wasted. In the end, though, it was that opening pick, and they managed to keep it up one after another until it was all the way down to a 4v1, 4v2, and they played it together. We saw the peaks on the side of West. One swung, and then onto the side of Solaire. Then the Clash swung, another one swung. It was just uncontestable. And that's the teamwork we've been looking for, Creedy.
And I think I really want to drive home the point of how difficult a situation that was for the Minions. They're being pushed from top Solar Stairs. A player dropped, it was trying to put pressure on. This was a Nomad that could have put down an air jab and really messed everything up. Then they were able to win that gunfight out. They get that player killed. They escape. They're able to just get out of there. Blakey with the second C4. Able to find another huge impact kill. I'm really happy that was around from Minions. I'm just worried it's a little bit too late. They are going to head back to that CE, that master bedroom side. They don't want to do that. Bar game, sorry, is where they're going to have a much better opportunity on this one. It's something different. It's something fresh. They can focus on doing something they might not have done before this game. And that's where I expect them to pick up a round, not if we go back to that top floor.
Without a doubt. Looking at these lineups, though, Solaire, again, at it, trying to counter them as much as they can. We see the floors up here, Frost and Shields, Library Stairs. It's just the default. This is what you have to interpret to make sure that anyone who's playing verticals is secured from the piano hallway. And what do you do that with? A shield. You put some Wamais behind it, a Jaeger, which Minions are not bringing. The Capitao is going to be an easy way to flush it out. Flashes, smokes. It's going to be a quick run through, even making it faster with Magus on that blitz. I do believe we are having a bit of... Am I the only one whose screen is frozen as of current?
I can see what's going on, and right now Matches is going in very, very fast. They've taken control of Solaire, heading over towards that bathroom, over towards that bedroom, backed up by the Nomad. And now the big thing for this is it can shut down a lot of this freedom of movement. You spoke about how quickly they can clear this out. But with the Blitz on the board, it's even quicker. Like you say, though, the big problems are going to be these Frostmats and these Banshees. It buys time for the defense to back up. It buys time for them to coordinate. Because right now, if Mayaha is picked off from that area, if that Frost isn't able to cut, if Sacred doesn't cover that piano hallway, Mayaha gets screwed. If that happens, they lose that vertical control. And if that happens, yeah, might as well say goodbye to the round. Blitz is an operator that can shut down all of that movement. Time to get down, halfway off the clock, and it feels like the Solaire haven't really committed just yet. They're gonna start making an entry to piano hallway, but nothing really happens as of yet.
As of yet. Really got to look towards the future. Not much picks, not much nothing, seeing as how fast this push should be. I think they're really waiting for that explosive execution, especially with the Blitz, especially how they're setting up. And it's not going to be looking good, as Blix does find one, but in the meanwhile traded out. A lot of HP brought down for Solaire, not looking positive, wishing a Fink or a Doc was there to back you up, and Blakey backing up minions even more with a second for them. 4v3 brought upon, the advantage is unreal, as now we're heading down to the final seconds. You don't have that Blitz anymore, you have the verticals, maybe you took over some things, but just so much progress was made back by the side of Solaire as they keep it up. A C4 does get traded out, although it's still a disadvantage. You haven't been able to keep it up, but that's the exact same second they do. A double comes out from Solaire. They leave on false in a 1v2 situation. He needs 1 bullet for each, but can he connect them? A pre-fire comes out. Both of them miss very close. 20 seconds on the clock, slowly ticking down, and a pre-fire from the Nomad onto the library stairs will be getting the 4th.
Oh, I believe he pushing that. I don't see why that was the way to go there. Retreat to stock if you can. Get that cover. Get that safety. Like you said, both players only 1 bullet away from death. Swinging that is probably arguably one of the least favorite things you want to do in that situation. Back up, let the players drop down. Those players are not ready for a fight. 1 spray can take them down. You could do it with 1 mag. This isn't going up against 2 players on full HP. You could have shut that down that round very, very easily for minions. But for me, it's Blake again. Coming in with such massive impact frags in this round, really keeping the team alive in it. And the fact that Solaire lost that blitz very quickly, very early on, really slowed things down to the point where minions should have won that round. They took control of that 1 player, they slowed down the attackers, and as a result, they didn't really have any momentum to work with. It just came down to a couple of free picks that Solaire picked up, and that's how they got that round back. It's hard to watch, but I think it is what it is. We got to put that down too.
Yeah, I mean, in the end though, again, minions, they played way too spread apart. They were each on their own side of the map, which is great for cover. You really do cover a lot. But when it's these situations where you really can go off of a refrag game or just play off of the fact that you can be together, you can play up close, you can play in sight. They had the verticals, which is true, but they used them and it worked perfectly just because of how spread out you were. You were on main stairs. If you just played it close together, one gets picked off, you refrag, you continue that, you go for whatever the case may be. Playing off of anything close like it would have been preferable. Now minions, they still have 1 round on board, but it's 3 away from Solaire's current score. In the meanwhile, starting it off very aggressive, Northy is trying to find a bit of picks, but in the end, he's the only one being found. 4 HP left on board, and you would preferably please return for Maxea for that doxed him immediately.
Yeah, realistically, at this point, they've just got to back up. They've just got to escape. We've seen that Doc come in some massive situations. Like you said, sometimes the attackers might have wanted that Doc or Finker just to back them up. Not on this occasion, though. Sacred's able to find that kill. Will take down Surprises. The Grim, the late round execute has been taken off the board, and Northy quite comfortably can head back to site now. Mischief managed. Return home, get that stim. But that's not going to happen. These attackers have been given a lot of time to work with, and now the defenders have to assume that there are so many cut-off positions set up. My Axa, though, over towards that Mez, able to find that kill. The Flores will try and push him out, but not before that kill comes through onto the attack and neuters that offense.
1.5. We are getting slowly to it. And minions have really asserted their dominance. They have not lost a single player. Northern, still looking at very low amounts of HP. Does get stimmed up the second I mention, which is a great advance. Really getting closer to it. Solaire trying to go off of those 1v1s, 1vx's for themselves as of current. Playing off of these really secret spots, really trying to be sneaky about it, and it's gonna work. It gets them the opening. 4v3, and at the same time, it's gonna be a bit of roamer clearage. It's gonna be a bit of pressure released from you. But that time is slowly ticking down as Maxea is going to be finding one. Unfalls finds the second, and it's all left down to Plagues, who's just trying to search for picks, really trying and attempting to get any type of favorable situations, but in the end, minions, they may be aggressive, but they're not that aggressive. Never mind, they push him on trophy stairs, 37 on board, and just jump down behind him. What am I even expecting at this point, Reed?
I mean, that amount of players still on the board for the side of minions. Why not? Go for it.
Fair.
They need this mental boost. They need this backup. And like you say, while Solaire have to go for a draw, it's a situation where I feel like minions were able to bring it back really, really well. It just wasn't enough, though, at the end there. They weren't able to just close things down and get that 3-3 scoreline. But a 2-4 scoreline from what we saw and how dominant you've seen Solaire play. I mean, look at that scoreline. That in itself is an absolute mission. But the problem is they're going on to attack. And I mentioned that this, while it is one of those more interchangeable ones, you've got more of a chance on attack than maybe, say, back on Oregon, back in the 22nd meta. This is still a very difficult map to attack against a team that know what they're doing, they're confident, they're locked in, and one could make the argument, Solaire, they're just trying different things because they've got that lead, they're comfortable, they've still got that map advantage. They can still go all the way to Nighthaven and say, yeah, we won that last time as well, we'll be fine.
I've been really wondering about these tactical timeouts. Earlier, it was Solaire with a tactical timeout after the first round. Now it was minions, which, if you look at the score, it's like, okay, maybe they wanted to make sure to ruin a tempo or whatever. They just switched over sides. So I don't know what necessarily the talk was to be had. Maybe it was more of like a hype up. Maybe it was like, okay, we got this. We know what we got to do on attack. We play like this, like this, like this. We use the X and X and X.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's happened, is they've taken this time to say, right, defense is over. We're an attacking team. Let's have it. Come on, boys. We're going to win this out. I hope that's what's happened. If it's kind of a timeout to kind of reset the mental and say, guys, it's 2-4. We're going on to attack. Let's please just try. I feel like there's two very different approaches on that one. What I would like to see for the side of minions is a very strong entrance. If they're able to pick up an opening frag, that's when they get the momentum going around. That's when they're able to keep things going, getting with a lot more confidence. Because like, you look at that last round, they had 2 picks before a player even died. Northie was down on 4 HP before minions even died. Over halfway through a round. If they get that first pick, that's when they'll really start to come into their own. As an attacking team, I'm looking at Sacred and Northie to make that happen. The big thing for me, though, I don't like the fact I'm looking at Northie to make that happen.
Yeah, honestly, I can definitely tip my hat to minions being really good at chaining things together.
Okay.
Not in a situation as in they play together, but more like once they get it going, they rush it through, they have a great time at it. And Solaire, although they have the hands up, they definitely have a bit of a better chemistry, a bit of better positioning, whatever the case may be, late game plays. It still is working out for minions, or it has at least for 2 rounds. If you can keep it up, especially on attack, where it's a lot more possible, because if you cut off rotation, if you make these early game shadow places or rotation cutoffs that you can really return to back into the late game, and just play off of those, let people walk into your lines of sight without them having the knowledge that you're there, I think minions would have a very complementary gameplay just purely off of that. As of current, though, they're going to be starting it off. Yet again, it's the opening pick for them. Unfall starts it off. A second one, though, from Sacred. 5v3 brought on very early. We still have a minute and 30, and they already have Library. They already have 2 picks for themselves, and they have gained a huge amount of control over the map.
Indeed they have. And I have a lot of questions at the moment for Blakey. Maybe going down the For You page at the moment while the rest of the team are, like you say, getting into this position. They're struggling to get A to B, but when it's get time to go from B to C, get ready for that attack. That's something they've been able to chain together, go to C to D, get the flank down, get the kills. Plaguestone is able to find that kill, gets that down to a 4 versus 3. But with Blakey still in spawn, it's going to be a 3 versus 3. The aggression from the Goyo finds the ace, finds a diffuser. Maxia has an answer, but it isn't enough to keep them in the round so far. Zorino down a piano and Plagues over towards Fluke Balcony are going to shut this thing down. The SMG-12, the shotgun, you've talked about how powerful it is. The impact EMP goes out, they know there's going to be a gunfight. And the question is Zorino and Plagues ready? Are they going to deal with it with 40 seconds left on the clock?
Good questions, but we need answers here, Creedy, and these 30 seconds are going to be doing exactly that. Unfall starts it off, SMG-11, and along with Maxea backing him up, a bit of a pat on the back, finishes the second, and with the 3v2, it remains all the way down to a 3v0. Solaire, you're losing points, and it seems like minions are starting to claim their bananas. They're going for the banana tree and they're racking them up slowly but surely. You know, at the first, it was a rough climb. But now they've reached the top and they just need to start picking them off and nicely putting them into the basket. A bit of a leave does come out from one of them. But overall, I think this is a great way that we've seen minions kind of start really climbing up the ladder towards the later parts of the match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of this so far from Minions, because they've kind of stepped up quite a bit. They're finding the opening kills. That's the big thing, really, because they're finding these opening kills, and like you say, once they get that momentum, they follow it up. They didn't even need Blakey in that round. They were able to get those picks. They were able to get it, and not because Solaire were trolling things. I think Plagues playing over towards that Fluke side was something that would definitely catch them off guard, but it wasn't something that they couldn't deal with. They were ready to say, right, well, they're getting aggressive. They found a pick on the diffuser. We'll just win our ones. Don't worry about it. We'll take the gunfights. We'll take that player piano. And while Plagues is stuck outside, they're playing smart. And like you say, the coordination is there when it needs to be. We just need to see it there more. We are taking a brief pause while we look at getting Unfalse in. Not really got an ETA on that one because I'm not sure what's going on. But we can talk about what we expect to see on the next couple of rounds. Back to Master Bedroom for the side of Solaire. I expect this early round to be a lot more passive and a lot more careful.
All right, we just did get a bit of confirmation from the set of production that it was just a normal, regular player crash. As we were thinking that Blaney was beaten around the bush, in the end, it was just technical issues that happen every now and then. It's normal, and as we wait for the return of the full team, of the stack of minions to make a reappearance, it's been interesting to really ask or think about how they're going to continue. Because right now, Solaire seems to be grasping for air purely because of minions. You said it, we said it both. It has been brought up countless times. Once they get it started, it's just a train that you cannot derail. They keep it chugging throughout the entirety of that round. And in the meanwhile, I do think we're just to not drag it on for too long, we're gonna throw it to a short break, and we will be with you in a short amount of time.
Yellow, and welcome back to map 2 of possibly 3. Solaire had a very strong start to this map on Chalet, however minions have started to bring it back, and now going on to their attacking side, they are going to try and bring a lot more momentum, a lot more power to it. As they go for the second attacking round so far, it's been a tough time on the defense, but their attacking side was a strong one, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, but keep that insinuation on possibly 3. If Solaire managed to put out 3 rounds as of current, maybe in a row, maybe not, maybe they lack a round or 2, if they still manage to go about it, they can keep it to 2, and that's as far as we're going to be keeping it. They do have a 1 deficit above minions as of current, and they are now on the defense, which in some words would be preferable. But it's all up to minions to make sure that they execute and punish correctly. Going off with a new addition we haven't been seeing much of today, it's going to be Blakey bringing out the Deimos, especially with the amount of verticality that's really possible from top to down. Really, floor bangs are strong, and Deimos, his revolver is so deadly with it, especially with the tracking ability really being on point. It's basically pre-nerf Lion, if we're talking about it just for a limited amount of time. It's just a single targeted Jackal, I'd say.
The thing is with this as well, with bringing that Deimos on the board, it does allow for the attackers to get really beneficial one-gun fights and a lot of information immediately on these roamers. For example, Northy and Maxiaga take it down, though, as we see Charlie able to find out 1 but 2 kills. Reno has an answer. Charlie has taken down as well. And unfortunately, it seems like Blakey hasn't got the hasn't got that kill. The Sunfiles has one of their own. Now, a 2 versus 3, you blinked and you've missed it. So let's talk about what's just happened. The roam clear down below, the Nomad, the Blitz, the late round operators have just been removed. And now it's just the 2 defenders upstairs waiting.
This popped up out of nowhere. Solaire, I don't know where they kept it hidden, but that T5 came in strong. Charlie clutched it out, and now it's down to the side of Solaire to get that 3v2 unlocked, but in the end, it's the R4C who finds 2 and finishes it up as Minions are going to be looking at another round. Now the equalization has finally been brought along. 4-4 the score is, but taking a look at these kills, this was phenomenal. This came out of nowhere, popped, flashed, and just everyone was taken off the board besides 5-6 players. Like that, the Blitz was the first. Nomad, those are 2 important, very major roles to take care of. Blakey tried to go for a bit of a refrag, but just too much damage all at once, and in the end, Minions, once they get it picked up, like we've said earlier, they do not stop.
I'll give them credit. They brought it back really, really well in terms of things went very wrong very quickly for the side of Minions, like you say. But they were able to capitalize, bring it back and say, right, well, you know, the round isn't over, let's just get to work. That Deimos isn't being brought out this time because they're not saying, well, our biggest issue that round wasn't the roamers. We dealt with that very quickly, very easily. We don't need that mini pocket lion. So we're going to go back to something we're used to. We'll bring out that Brava, we'll bring out the Twitch, the Flores, the IQ, and we're going to deal with this bedroom site. Now, Minions didn't really come to this site very quickly. It took them about 4 rounds to get here. Solaire, they're going to go there a lot quicker. A lot of teams do prefer this as their secondary site, and I'm very excited to see what Solaire has planned for us.
What do they have in mind? Are they going to start ticking off boxes, and are they going to get to the end of their bucket list of round number 9? You said that this is the second preferable for some, and for some not. That's what I love about Chalet. It's a map that you can really play on any site, and it's kind of like Border, I would say. But Border is a lot less focused on strategy, which just makes it focused on guns, and that's, of course, it doesn't matter what side you're on. On Chalet, all sites are great. You can really play off of them well, and there's many strategies that you can incorporate and adaptation to come along. As we're going about it, Minions have been really fast throughout these attacks. Previously, they went for basically a sort of rush, as now they're seemingly going for a very quick take alongside it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. They've been really good at getting the aggressive push going down on the attacking side. Solaire, they have a couple of opportunities to really shut this down, but the big problem is that player down in that suicide spot is going to be taken down. Exactly why you don't really like playing that position without a line on the board. My Haxo finds another kill, but Surprises has one of their own, and the trade comes down. 4 versus 3, the defenders are being tucked into these corners, safe from that verticality, safe from the attackers. Gunfights, and it's going to be Charlie able to find another kill. Doesn't find another one, it's going to be Zereno and Unfiles who find it. And now 2 versus 2 with half the round gone, where the attackers firmly have that top floor control in favor as the Fenrir goes off.
Fenrir goes off, they have the diffuser, and HP is looking great for every single one of these players, but it's the picks that they're looking for. The first one to get it is going to be the first one to gain that advantage, that 1v2 situation, and if a refrag is brought upon, it's going to be down to the final 2. Drops down, not expected. The Rooney is looking for picks, but in the end, it's Northy who finds 2 and finishes it off. Minions with another round, and now gaining the lead after a fine couple of rounds, I'd say.
Yeah. They really brought it back. They woke up quite a bit. And in doing so, because of this, well, now they're able to finally, for the first time in this whole matchup, to win and take the lead. Now, the thing is, for Solaire, this is where things you have to start worrying about. These defensive rounds have not gone the way they wanted to. Both teams have been very strong in the attacks so far. How are we going to change this up? Well, Solaire, they're not resting on their laurels. They're going to head down to that kitchen dining, focus on that verticality, and see what they can do about it. Again, we're not seeing many changes to the lineup. They're just going to stick with what they think works. The Fenrir, the Mute, the Frost, the One Mind, the Doc. Those operators mean they can focus on that top floor and that bottom floor. They're not overcommitting utility in one way or another, because there isn't that much utility to overcommit. They get upstairs, they hold that down, they win a couple of gunfights. Jobs are good at. Naturally, that's not how it goes, because we know this is Siege. It's never going to go like that every single time. Side of Minions, they just need to get that top floor control. They have the operators to do it. They have the aggression of Sacred, especially since this restart, to really open things up.
Round 10 is now underway, 5-4. Yet again, lead is for Minions to take after a bunch of time has gone by, and they seem to be a little bit better. Even though on the attack, which again, this is a bit more of an expanse map, and defense should be still a bit more comfy to work with. It's gonna be Solaire proving that point exactly. Now, Minions, they're going very fastly. Again, they're trying to go for these unexpected plays, but they're getting punished for them. The first kill brought upon them, and now just jumping into bar. Didn't expect the player to be around there, and really trying to kind of maneuver away from droning. They don't like droning, and it's showing exactly that, as just going by head checking is their way of just maneuvering around. But up until now, it has not been beneficial to them at all.
Yeah, that's kind of something I wanted to draw upon. There wasn't much droning at the start there. That's why Ash has been taken off the board. And when you think of some of the operators, that you've got to look at the verticality. That job is pretty much all the way down to just Gridlock now with that secondary shotgun. Having that would have been a massive help, but they're not going to have that on the board now. Take control of that master bedroom, take control of that top floor, and they're able to open things up. Start moving down below. Looks like it's going to be a shot from Northey, able to find a kill onto Big Z, and in doing so, even out that scoreline. A minute 45 on the clock. The util starting to go in to try and flush out these defenders.
You can say goodbye to your stims as Big Z is going to be off the board. Fenrir's yet again activating. Although you do take him out, the information is still there, lurking around, gets a beautiful shot on Flawless, takes out the Wamai playing upstairs, brings it down to 3, as 4 are looking for Minions, the verticality is theirs, and now turtling in sight. It's going to be a tough challenge for Solaire to retake. Breaches out, you have so many angles to take care of. You have so much opportunity to be picked off by Solaire, as they have been brought down to a bit of a man disadvantage. Ping's starting to come out, gridlocks are popping off. 1 minute on the clock, it's finally reaching that 60-second mark, and we are trying to escape our way into sight, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing. They managed to regain some ground, regain the double of the man score on the side of Minions as they keep it up. Plant is going down, C4 is not in the hand of Zemo, in the hand, 45 on the clock now, and the diffuser is now officially on the floor.
Oh! Ships in the night as Zarino goes in, finds Sacred. And now a 3 versus 2. That plant has gone down, and the verticality of the attackers is not there. The defenders have taken control while somebody's outside that main door. Blakey gonna get taken down. And now it's all down to Northey and Falls. They are away from each other. A refrag is not on the cards here, really. They have to commit for this verticality, because if they're able to shut it down, they could win out this round. But they're not going to. They don't know where Zarino is. There's not enough ammo. They don't get the run aside. They just about get it. And with 10 seconds on the clock with that player of Northey up above, 7 seconds left. That round is going to be over. It really shouldn't have. But I can't believe how that went out. We saw that main breach of sight being opened up. Only 4 players looking to get that pressure on and execute. That was so close. But again, Minions win it out.
Really depending on that final second, it was too close for comfort. But in the end, Northey tried using that secondary for verticalities and successfully did so. The plant was down, and you use that verticality, you push the defenders down into sight, you force them to back off, and now it's your ground to play off of. It was so close. So close for the defuse to actually stick through. In the end, though, it's just not close enough. Now looking at match point, Minions first time in the first 2 maps. Could be bringing it into regulation, a victory for themselves. They have 2 chances at it, and they need to make one of them count. If they do, we're going to the decider. Nighthaven is going to be along the way, but that's only an if and a but. A lot of situational things could be happening, and if you keep up this type of consistency, you're definitely going to be bringing it over to Nighthaven. Chalet looking a bit better for you, especially on attack. This aggression they've been bringing, these head checks, even though they have been getting punished for it quite heavily at times, they always manage to bring it back, Greedy.
The thing is with this one, I feel like if we see Minions pick up this round, Nighthaven won't matter how it went down before. Solaire Esports will have kind of lost that mental advantage. I mean, Minions, they're overcoming the odds here. They lost the last time. That was only in August. That was 2 months ago. Barely. So at this point, if they're able to win out this map, they don't care when they go to Nighthaven. They are confident they're going to win it. They've done the effort, they've put in the work, and they've been able to win it out. And today, they have just been the better team on Chalet. Solaire, like I say, they had a good start, but that's kind of where they start to falter. That's where Minions have really woken up in that late game. Now, though, like I say, they've got to bring it home, and they've got one last challenge to do that. That is that typical top floor site. And like they said last time, they won it out. It was very close, but they were able to do it. Plagues finds 1 kill though, and will take down Blake.
Beautiful shot from Plagues right there. And again, continuing that reign, he's been a strong character, a strong personnel all around. In the meanwhile, though, Solaire are definite to make sure to use that as much as they can. Advance off of it, go for breaches. We're barely down to the last 2 minutes. They're making a big advance, also doing major damage. So Rises. Doc is still there. He could back up, get Stim. It could be a great reset for him, but not for Charlie, who gets taken out by Northe. The opening for minions finally shows itself. The plant is going down, but so is the Dokkaebi. 3v4 brought along to yourself as Sacred takes out the peeking Doc. The swing will be coming out, but not in your favor. 40 on the clock, reserve 7. In the meanwhile, Sacred with a second. 2v3 starting to show itself. Playing off of these windows, they can just stick around and find out. The run out comes out, but Northe just punishes it even more as it's going to be leaving. Magnus in a 1v2 scenario, he makes it up with it, but now you have a limited amount of time, and now you need to keep on pushing through as you're just over pushed from the attack side. You don't know where they are, you don't have the time, and it's gonna be minions now winning the 7th. Sure. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, taking strong victory of that one. Very, very strong round. Very good entrance. Found those couple of kills. And as a result then, like you say, they shut these down. I mean, I really am not a fan of that run out from the youth that we saw there. I feel like Solaire just got a little bit too scared. They got a little bit too in their own head, because then they were suddenly over-peaking. They were jumping out. They were running out. That then put them in really difficult positions to try and win that out for Magical. They were stuck with that. They had to just try their very best, and time just wasn't on the side. They had to get 3 kills, and beyond that diffuser with 7 seconds left. That just wasn't happening with the positions the attackers had. Minions, very well played on that one. They've shown why they're going to be taking us to that 3rd map. So, Puffo, we are going to take a short break because I do not want to have any delays getting us to there. So we will be back very shortly. Get a drink, use the toilet, but make sure you are back here because, God, you do not want to miss this game.
Hello and welcome Banana back as we are going into the decider between MG Minions and Solaire. I'm Bob, joined by yet again the lovely McCready, who has been with me through all these matches. And how are we looking?
Well, we're looking pretty good if you're the side of the Minions at the moment. They've come back off a very, very dominant Chalet. Struggled a bit in the start on the defense, but then on the attack we're able to bring it back, which is something we didn't really expect them to do. That mental victory, that mental kind of damage that first map would have had losing against that team and then going on to the map that you don't have that best history on in the last like a couple of times you played, shows probably why they were happy to go there and pick that map of Chalet. They knew what they were doing, they knew what went wrong and how to fix it, and that was the key part. Things went wrong, but they fixed it. Going on to Nighthaven, that's something else we'll have to find out, Puffo, because as we go on to this map, this is the other one that they've faced each other on before, haven't they?
Yes, they have, and earlier it was 2-0 for Solaire, and they took Nighthaven alongside. Now we return to what was done in the history, but yet again we're going to have to see if it repeats itself. MG Minions, did you have the time to adapt on this map just like you did on Chalet, get a bit of a better score going for yourself, or are we going to have the same result as we did prior to this match when you two faced against each other? We're going to have to see as we go to the operator bands, and starting it off an attack is going to be the Maverick.
I'm thinking of this breach. That's all I'm thinking of. The breach is where Maverick will really excel because with the K-Claws, if we don't see a K-Claw ban, you can get them off in those little corners, those little bit of shells, and they're almost impossible to touch. It's essentially kind of what you do with the K-Claws on Clubhouse. It's essentially the same kind of principle. So with that one, that's what the Maverick can excel at. Those K-Claws, as it stands, will be safe unless it's banned. The Monty taken away as well. Immediately, I'm thinking of that bottom floor. I'm thinking of that rafters and garage, or at least that electrical area. That's going to have a massive impact. In Tuberel, that's one as well. That shuts down stopping the breach. But then also think about the verticality. The one thing we were just thinking about, as soon as you go on that top floor, a lot of that floor is destructible. Having a Tuberel give away the information on where these players are in a C4 in pocket, that's just a recipe for destruction.
I feel like Tumor and Maverick really counteract each other, just like, per se, Thermite or Thatcher and Cade used to back in the day on Clubhouse. It's really just
Yeah,
a nice yin yang between the two, and when you ban one, you have to ban the other. It's a dynamic
yeah,
duo. We are going to have a bit of a lead from Blaney yet again, and as we talk about the final one, which is going to be Valkyrie. Valkyrie is. We've been seeing her banned throughout the entirety of all three of these maps. She's reasonable, information is solid, so you have to play with her or just ban her. It's a nuisance
yeah.
and it doesn't force a pick onto the IQ, the Twitch, the Brava, and so on and so on. But as we go into the Night Haven, it's not necessarily a one-sided map. I think this is also okay. I'll say it's a bit more attacker-sided if you ask me personally, but do keep in mind that breaches are a thing that you have to get here. This is a very breach-heavy map. You have a lot of them, and once you get them, the job is easy. It's really quick and it's just a Swiss through. But getting to that point, it can be difficult.
Yeah, and for me, that's the big thing because minions have really struggled with that. It's like I say, going from B to C, C to D is fine. They have aggression, they are able to deal with it, and like I say, things just tend to flow together very well for them once they get that first step. But that first step is the breach. And I'm thinking about that top floor now, and the first thing I'm thinking of, if they don't go for a construction take, is they go for a garage or breach take. The first thing that springs to my mind is they open up that electrical, that garage door, sorry, they start moving inside into IT, and things will kind of stall out again because they'll either have control over afters or they won't, but they'll still have to go through a couple of choke points to get into sight. I'm definitely going to have to see a couple of double pronged attacks, at least somebody over towards that blue side, or at least construction, or connector, sorry. If they're able to do that, then they can start entering onto site, use IT as that kind of little bit of security to cover any cross, and allow you to move on in, give you that safety from those C4s. Realistically, though, the attackers are going to be having to really make something for it. Last time we were on this map, though, we did see a 7-3 victory in favor of Solaire. Now, it seems like the minions have been able to turn the tables on the Chalet game. We need to see if they can do the same here. There's a big ask ahead of them if they want to win out their first game in this season so far, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Minions have been really consistent with their kills, with their chains, and their continuation of Shriek. One thing they've been also consistent with is converting from a walk to a jog place. They really need to start walking in order that they can run, and those first steps are the hardest to get in for themselves. On the other hand, Solaire, they have been consistent all throughout. They're a jack of all trades. We've seen them everywhere. They've done good in all positions, but I don't think there's one that they're perfect at. The closest they get to it is really how they play off of each other, how they play close, and yeah, as of current, we are going to have a bit more of technical difficulties. So, Creedy, sadly, we are going to have to take it a break. So stay tuned, and we will be back with you as soon as we can be. We promised that we would be back as soon as we can be, and that's exactly what we're going to be delivering upon. We brought you the post, and hopefully you can open up the mail and get yourself a nice message that we are back in. 0-0 is the score going into round one. Starting it off yet again for the third time, the decider is upon us, and it's up to these teams to make sure that they're deciding on who takes it and who goes home. Well, no one's really going home. It is the very early stages of ESA, so it's not anything as major as a grand final, not close to it at least, but still, it's these early points that rack up to get to the grand finals in the end. Going to the lineups though, Exea brings the Barge G. Give credit where it's due. And Solaire this time around taking the aggressive approach, as it's always been minions really fast about it, not much drone action and more of head checking, going for pre-fires, being good at it, but at the same time a risky, high risk, high reward play. Solaire take it into their own hands this time around with the blitz and the opening pick onto Sacred. That's going to be Klazov with one, but yet again, you need to find more. As in the meanwhile, minions are attempting, minions right now just really picking apart one after another, as Magus does get taken off first. It's going to be a bad pick, it's going to be the blitz, it's going to be on false with a second onto Plagues. regain the control, regain that so-called advantage. And now they need to play off of it and play off of it carefully. They will. The Ram using her drone is going to be a good use of utility. That Twitch on 14 HP is going to be bad as Maxeya gets the second. Minions are just keeping it up. They're keeping it into their hands. They've lost the first, but now they're down to a 4v1. The first is the only one they lost, but traded out for 4 as Solaire are now down to Maxeya, who swings around the corner and claims the kill with the SMG-12. Whew.
Let's go.
All right, Greedy, welcome back.
Yeah, hey. I'm glad that I could just join and jump back in. Honestly, I want to know how this has gone so far. And it looks like we got pause on this one.
It's an unfortunate turn of events, but really, Minions, they got killed on first. It was a 4v5 very quickly.
Yeah.
But then Solaire, that was the only kill they got the round. In the end, it was a 4v1. What?
You know, I'll give them that. So I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see it in my head. I feel like when Minions got a refrag, I imagine it came quite quickly. And with that, they were able to just kind of take control of things from there. It looks like we're going to jump back to our wonderful cameras at the moment, so you can kind of give me a little bit more of a breakdown on what happened that round. I think I caught the very, very tail end on that one, where I think I just saw the last kill come out. But I imagine for the side of Minions, they were quite in control of that round.
They were. At the start, it was a really fast-paced push from Solaire. They took the Minions approach about it. They went in, blitz through the side, blitz, head-checking everything. They got the opening pill onto the Goyo. Then they just continued taking floor after floor. But they didn't seem to have much defense or offense when the counteract or the proactivity came from Minions when they put the fight up to them, which just completely shut them down. We had like a triple kill from Maxeya with the SMG-12 just taking pick after pick. No victims were left behind, let me tell you that much, and they converted it from a 4v5 to a 4v1 out of nowhere.
Oh, well, you know, fair play to them. I mean, that's quite impressive. Honestly, I'll give them a lot of credit. Like I said, I feel like Minions have definitely found the swing of things. There's still things to work on, but they have not found... they're definitely not a bad team. I mean, both of these teams are playing quite well at the moment. I feel like there are just moments where I feel like they are really having good moments, and both teams are just kind of... which team's better in each round is where we're seeing this take place. We are going to have to take a little bit more of a break, though, because it does seem we're having a little bit of an issue with the tech side of things, so we will be going back very shortly. Stay with us. We can only apologize. We'll see you soon. Yellow, and welcome back for what is hopefully the last time that we're going to be going in and giving our intros on this one, as we do see Minions and Solaire going up against each other on the final map. We've talked about this before, we've talked a lot about it, we've seen that first round, some of us. The other half of us, this is the first round that we're going to see on Mighty Haven at the moment. Now, Minions, like you said, they lost a player but bounced back very quickly, or one person in particular bounced back very quickly.
Yes, it was, and that was Minions. First round for some, second for others. The case is, it's very early into it. Now as we continue, just slowly prepping up site, loving to see the Azami, loving to see some mirror action pop back in. Seems like Solaire are going to be taking a similar approach to counteract like they always have. A C4 spawn peek is attempted, yet denied.
You know what? Respect. Fair play. That is a bit of a waste, though, and like we said, I think we've got to draw attention to the verticality quite a bit. Having a C4 off the board when you can drop down a hatch and just get a C4 off that quickly, maybe something I wouldn't have done personally, but there's a reason I'm not playing, I'm casting. We are seeing the bandit trick coming out, that Thatcher Thermite, like you say, on the board, which means the bandit and the mute trying to work in tandem to get this, keep this shut. With the Maverick, it's something they can very easily do because they can't take away that line at the bottom, which means the bandit can't play there. As a result, it means Solaire going to have a very difficult time getting the breach open. They're going to try it anyway, though, as we do see that. The Thatcher Thermite bandit trick come through. The breach does get open, and no kills are going to come through from IT. That's because Place has gone down below.
Of course, if you're going to be bringing the two operators to deny Bandit from tricking, you might as well make use of it. The breach now confirmed. Verticality from below, that's going to be the Buck, making his presence known. Legs, you're down there. Make sure you watch out for those flanks. They've been quite common from minions, but at the same time, it's a bit of presence just lurking around if they're going to come down to you, or are you going to have to come up to them. Damage drop seemed like sacred, unless alongside Unfalls are going to be sharing 100, but also going to be getting the opening. The MP7 in hand, a strong gun, and is going to be proving exactly that. That's going to be the Buck, the verticality limited. A second one onto the thermite rafters, not shut down.
And as you see, Mayax are finding another as Blakey finds Magus, and it's all over already. Blakey getting another. And now it seems that minions, they really are putting a shift in as they very comfortably close out that round. They lost that breach, they lost quite a bit of map control, but they were able to very, very carefully, grace under pressure, bring it back. Right, let's just take a look at this, Maxi. Yeah, look at that pick. The flick comes through, let the recall do a little bit of the work, yes, but still a very impressive shot nonetheless. And then Blakey just cut things up. A very strong start for minions on the defense. We've seen in the last game that the defense wasn't their strong point. They've already done better than they did last time. They can only go up from here.
It can only start just stockpiling round after round. Solaire, on the other hand, you need to find yourself an opening for yourselves. You haven't been able to do it. Besides the first round, which in the end converted for a huge disadvantage against you. That is not what you're looking for. You're looking for that first round. You're on the attack. Try and make as much of it as you can. Get those breaches. Start working on them. You got it. But it's quite the reverse of minions. I really find that interesting. We said the minions, you know, the BCs, the DCs, the BCs, the CDs, you know it. Those are the good times for minions, but the A to Bs are hard. For Solaire, it's quite the exact opposite. It's the starts they have quite decent, but those ends, those final steps, really finalizing what you're trying to touch upon, it's always those times that they get shut down upon.
Like I say, as a defender, that's... The A to B's already done. You're already at the site. You're already where you need to be. You've got those defenses. Taking the opportunity as it comes. Now this site, though, is very similar to the one we've just seen. There's a lot more focus on the garage area, though, and a lot more focus on verticality on this one for the defense and both the attack. That outside garage wall will get opened up by the thermite, which means that there is a clear entry out to site, but there's a lot more things they need to get done on the checklist to get through to this actual position, to get through to getting the plant down. Because like you say, that verticality is there, the rafters players are there, the top blue stairs players are there. Solaire have to try and make something happen. They need to deal with all these problem areas the minions are putting up.
Playing it as if the site itself was upstairs. In the meanwhile, though, you do have to focus a bit more attention on the site that is on the first floor. You have a player or two just to secure, just to ensure that no plans are confirmed, while the verticality is still an important pick. You need to make sure to keep a grip on. Attackers, do you see Solaire making a bit of progress? Twitch drones are going to be deadly, at the same time denying as much utility, but you have to keep in mind, these guns are going to start popping, and the explosives, the C4s, are definitely going to make their way through, as the first is brought upon, traded out. Solaire managed to get that pick that they lost. It's going to be the ace, a valuable one. You have the thermite, but it doesn't matter on falls. That's fine. The S4v3 brought upon, the man advantage, or disadvantage, is for Solaire to take.
Say time to get down tension, you can cut it with a knife. The gun comes out with a run out for Blakey, finding Zorino, and an answer is trying to be found by Solaire, but as the Twitch F2 has to reload, Sacred finds that kill. Class up hasn't made it into the building, and with a minute left, has to try and take this round. Just back up, relax a bit, because yeah, that Claymore's going to get a kill for Plagues onto Unflouse, but it's not going to have the impact you need. You might get one more. It's not going to happen. Blakey closing things down, and minions, another dominating round on the defense. What can Solaire do different? That's what we need to start thinking about. What's been going wrong? How can we fix this for them?
Now, you said it earlier. Defense, you have the A's to B's set up, meaning that minions, they just do what they do best, and they have themselves set. For the past 3 rounds, it's been exactly like that, and Solaire have not been penetrating or being able to bypass it a single bit. 3 rounds, you already have the draw on the first half, which is a great way to start it up. It can only go up from here, just like we mentioned prior. And now we're back downstairs. This was absolutely brutal previously around. which was the 4v5 brought to a 4v1, and not even mention Maxea with a triple or quad kill, just running around, guns blazing, picking off one by one, not even needing the Boss G. It was the SMG-12 that did the majority of the job. Solaire now, what do they need to do? In my eyes, they need to start getting these picks. They have been getting traded out. Once the first kill from minions is brought upon, we saw when they were upstairs earlier. The Vector on the side of Electrical, I do believe it was, or by the main breach, whatever it was, kept on peeking. They kept on peeking him one by one by one. Not together. They just nicely gave a bit of a delay between the peaks, giving enough time for the reposition and the repeak to come through, which gave an amazing triple kill to minions, which you just shouldn't allow. You've played together well, and so you should continue going through it.
I've got to agree, I think the frags are the big thing here, because 3 rounds, and Solaire only have 4 kills, and you see 3 on the bottom right, but 1 in that first round. This is not something we need to be seeing. This is something that Solaire needs to be able to pick up a little bit more on. I am looking at Magi, I'm looking at Charlie. These were some key players, and Plinks as well, key players in these last couple of games that have been a driving force. They have been opening picks and getting opportunities, but it just hasn't been there so far. I wouldn't mind it so far if it was 2-0. But at the moment, it is at the case where I'm starting to worry about things. The Romas here above, again, will have to be joined out and cleared out by the attackers. They will have to deal with this before they can worry about going down below. And that's where the big problem at 4 minions lies. I feel like these Romas are a bit slippery and a bit too confident for Solaire to deal with at the moment. Troscan goes out, the Boss G. Why are you walking in there, Sereno? What is going on as they get picked off? They take down the Vigil, that opening pick, in favor of Solaire this time. But it really shouldn't have been. That Boss G should have gone the opposite way, not walked in the doorway after missing the shot. And now it seems like Solaire are going to reap the rewards. A bit of damage going on to Magi as Plagues looks to back things up and cut off whatever remaining roamers there are.
180 and turn around would have been the great decision, but you mentioned that's all greediness. So-called aggression from minions. And while though it's working out for them, Zerino finds the second. Now they're pushing down what the remains of upstairs. Getting a trade, a 3-for-1 deal is going to be excellent. You buy one, you get 3. It's a chef's kiss overall. Minions are now finally getting punished for these kills that just shouldn't be happening. Earlier, it was the cockiness, it was the swings and the peaks. Peak or be peaks, and minions definitely took the first one. Always, time after time again. In the end, Solaire didn't punish off of him, didn't really care much, and they just let it happen. Now this time around, they're being patient, they're holding their angles, and they're making sure that when they get swung, they are ready for it. They are sticking together. If one goes down, you know what? We'll double down on it. We will make sure your entire team upstairs goes down alongside that one player. In the meanwhile, the F2 makes another entrance as Northy's now left in a 1v4 situation, just completely stuck in a corner. They don't know about him. And as the Blitz comes splinting through, just managing to melee and not hit a single one, he's missing the pistols, but finally connects the shot.
Observer, look away! 2 melee hits, the third finally landing and finding that kill. But at that point, giving way too much time for a bandit to try and get away with it. The flashbangs coming in massively there to help out. For me, like I say, this opening pick in painful slow-mo onto Mayaha is going to demonstrate where everything really fell apart. I mean, here's where Solaire, like you say, they pick up their first round because they got that early Roma. At that point, they could take on the rest of the fights with the Romas, knowing they were in a much better position. They could afford to lose a gunfight if needed. And they did. They lost down Plagues pretty quickly. Yeah, that's fair enough. But they answered quite quickly. Magi realized where are the key positions to go. They need to be leading this in. I mean, at that final execute, I felt it was literally just Blitz on site.
Yeah.
Everybody else was playing on the verticality. You could see the floor had been opened up. They knew kind of what situation to risk it. That was good from there, but we need to see more of it. We need to see at least another round, ideally 2 if we want to see Solaire pick this up. Minions, obviously, they're going to want to try and avoid that. Aware of this blitz, we'll bring out Capcan.
Capcan, and alongside of Zami. I mean, Azami is an, in general, strong operator. She's basically one of the best when it comes to Rainbow Six Siege, but it's still a good way to counteract a blitz. mostly because you focus or force him to really slow down, not get the ability to push up to you. But Blitz, again, he has cover, he can melee the zombies, so it's an interesting conversation between the two. Going into round number 5, we have 2 remaining before we go on to the role swap, where it could be a complete switch of pace between these two teams. We've seen Minions, they love their defense right now because, like earlier, their start is set up, then they just need to continue the reign they have already done. Solaire, on the other hand, when going over to that so-called defense, I'm wondering how they're going to react to Minions now doing a bit of a different way of going about it. Overall, that's for time to tell, and we're going to leave it just at that as we start heading in to upstairs, where the main breach should be the priority, but we're not seeing much Thatcher around this time.
Yeah, well, there's no Thatcher on the board, so it'd be very impressive if they were able to bring it over. They do have Grim with those impact EMPs to get the breach open. This doesn't really work very well against a Bandit trick, which is why you're seeing the attackers getting a little bit aggressive, trying to go for some gunfights. Bandit is there trying to get that breach shut down. It is able to stop it, I think. Just about. No, that breach is going to get opened up. Zarino going to pressure over towards that Rafters area. Now what can happen is Glazov jumps in, and Zarino's going to go in for the push as well. Able to find the kill, but not nearly. Let's Northern get away with it. They're able to find that now. They move in. The util's there, but somebody's in IT. They're ready to swing out and get a kill of their own. That's not going to happen, though. Half the round ticked off the board, and 1 player down on each side.
The Grim using the bees as an entrance for himself to push into electrical is going to be a fantastic way of using your utility. Now, while there is no advantage on each side, I'd say HP is looking also quite equivalent. The time is looking unfavorable, and Solaire, you need to make sure that it works, whatever you're pushing towards. This execute needs to be perfect, or you're going to have to back off, waste more time, and it's going to be a deadly game you're going to have to play. It's not going to be a favorable game of blackjack. You're going to be aiming for 21, but you're going to hit that 23, and it's just overall not a good look. Just it's not like a good look for the side of Minions, who get picked apart, but Unflaws makes a comeback and a double kill from the side of Solaire out of nowhere, leaving Maxea, who was all the way downstairs, now in a complete isolation.
Yeah, now all stuck on their own in the rafters will be picked up by Zarino. A couple of incredible swings coming out from the team there. Very happy to see that, in all honesty, because, like I said, very happy to see that coordinated pinch come through. As a result of that, like you say, rafters opened up. They were able to push through. IT then became so difficult for the defenders to hold, they couldn't. They had to commit the mirror to hold in that position. Then the Grim comes into favor. Util comes out right on that mirror, flushes them out of their little angle that they had to hold the pixel on rafters. That's when things really started to fall apart. They just felt uncomfortable, took gunfights that really didn't favor them, and that's where Solaire picked that up. Very well done from them to get a second round on the board. Let's see if they can make it a third, though, as they have to reattempt that attack, and no doubt Minions are going to be thinking of adaptations they can make. The round is still on the board, though. I do hope we see this one switched out.
For sure. I can agree with you there. But I'm just wondering what happened with Minions. They had such a good lead. And okay, yeah, there's the argument. Solaire just adapted, and Minions weren't able to keep up with anything because they didn't need to adapt. You don't need to fix what's not broken. It was a 3-0, so there's no adaptation. You can just keep doing what you do, and as long as the enemy team doesn't really spot a mistake, they can, they let it happen, and it's your round. It's your game after all, and they play directly into it. It's like a trap. Whatever the case may be, though, they started picking up the pace just bits by bits, and now going into the first or the last one before the first half, it's really essential for Minions to at least pick up the 4-2 if they want to go into it positively, because, like we said earlier, this map hasn't been looking too good in the past. 7-3 is where they finished off, and Solaire can still manage to bring that score back in for a second time.
Yeah, definitely. I quite like that little peak coming out from the Thermite. Now, a lot of that utility is taken away from the Capcan. We can't escape that. But I like that breach because the upside down repel, yes, it prevents a very, very high player profile on the body and that the defenders can shoot. However, what it does allow for is very quick maneuverability to get out of that situation. These are players that can and will hit the shots if you are steady and not able to move on a dime. As a result, that's what that upside down repel is there to benefit. I'm a fan of it. I think it's very much a risky move. But right now what we are seeing is the Blitz able to win a gunfight out on Maya again. Down below, taking down that Capcan, but those gadgets are all down on the floor. We've seen them have a massive impact before, and look at that HP of Magic. That might as well be a player off the board, if not for the shield.
If Not completely out. Shield could be utilized. Maybe a bit of a refrag could still come out of it. Not much, though, just happening as of yet. The advantage is certainly brought upon by Solaire, which is a great start. Especially with these rounds needing to be equalized, and they're going to keep it up. Good one. R4C in hand. A nice start. Blakey not standing much for it. Lazip off the board taken, just like Northy getting one onto Magi. 3v3. Equalize the score. Zay gets another one onto Blakey. It's going to be a refrag game for all of these players, just trying to make sense of what's happening.
Exactly. Now Charlie starts to push in, looks at that first kill, is able to find a head, takes down Northy, unable to find an answer onto Unfalls, but doesn't need to. The call out into IT goes down, and there you see that Thermite ready to finish things off. The equalization comes out, and it looks like Solaire are not out of it just yet. Minions, they may have stole Chalet, but now they need to steal the moon and the victory that comes with it.
That in hand, though, this game was really close between these players. They definitely took for granted that once a player was off, they tried to make sure that the refrag came out. Overall, in the end, though, Solaire definitely took it into account and took it into their own hands that once that first pick is done, they were not going to allow a single trade to come out through without them managing to keep it going for a 2, for a 3, and for a round. 3-3 going over to a swap, a very close game, a lot closer than it ever has been. And both of these teams are pulling their weight quite strongly. Some of these rounds have been one-sided, but those are the minority. I would say 2 rounds, 3 rounds maybe. But the rest, I'd say close. I think these teams are really starting to even up to each other. At the same time, bring out some interesting strategies along the way. Now, Minions, they go for that breach again. Like you said, the difficulty is that breach for them, and they want to make sure they have as much help as they possibly can from it. And at the same time, Maxea, he's been a very, I'll say, frag-heavy operator. He's been picking operators as such, and bringing out the Nook, switching it over to Ash, is going to be making sense. I looked away for a second, and I still saw the Nook.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the roam clear that we saw down below from the Blitz, and maybe trying to do something similar, or maybe put some pressure over towards the stairs, or down towards our bottom garage rafters. That's not going to be the case, like you say. We are going to see a very different attacking style come through from Minions. Pressure over towards construction. This does mean they need to clear out this entire area here with the meeting and connector. They were able to do that quite quickly with the use of some good droning and some flank watch on those lobby stairs. And as things open up, they need to be aware that Plagues is going to be watching them. That's something they can see. And now that Ash of Mahaha is going to come over and hopefully deal with that window. The thing is that when no one's looking, Plagues might be able to get aggressive here. They might get a pre-placed C4, or they might get one ready. The Ash charge comes through, does the damage it's needed to, and now the pixel is in favor of the mirror. This is where that second front is going to come into play. Yes, they can open that breach, but they still have to deal with Plagues. They need something else somewhere else, and it looks like electrical might be just the place to do it, until they drone out class upset sit there.
Important sticking to these tight angles held from all across the side of Solaire. They're on the defense, and they're holding quite strong cross angles as they let the Ash slip by. A bit too speedy for the guns to catch up and for the ADS to make up for it, but no, it won't be the same for the Thatcher. Unfalls does manage to make one out of it. In the end, though, you lose the Thatcher EMPs, which would have been great for managing to get through that middle. Whatever the case is, Unfalls gets the second. That's going to be the case. Both of the supports completely off the board. A refrag, a flank comes out, but not with Unfalls for the triple. He could be looking here for the ace. Backs off 125, looking good on HP. Sacred gets yet again another. In the end, though, he does get traded out. The shotgun up close is going to be a difficulty to pass on through. Electrical contested. Shotgun is strong, but if you don't play those close angles, you can go inside, you can go for appliance, and you should be looking confident.
That's exactly what happens. The track singers goes out, Unfalls ready, finds another one, gets 4 kills in a round. That really needed them. And that is them going on the attack, confident with that round win. Very, very close there for Plagues. Nearly able to get the C4, but they weren't ready for the player to be waiting there of Unfalls. And fair play to them. That was a very, very good attacking side. I've got to give credit again to that Gridlock. Just being there, putting the pressure on, finding the key kills. And I think just timing really stopped Clazup from just stopping that push come through at all. Because what we saw then from Clazup was they walked into electrical as a flashbang went off. They didn't have time to get the gadget going. They weren't able to do it. And that let them push through the connector wall. They realized, alright, well, he's playing over by electrical, or he's backed up to IT. we've got some space, let's take control of it, then they can play behind pillar, go into blue, do whatever they want to. Very well played. Now those Solaire are going to have another attempt at defending this. The question is, what differently could they do? I mean, they didn't really have much in there that I say is an absolute misplay. They just lost a couple of gunfights.
In the end, a couple of gunfights is what really has been determining a majority of these rounds. These two teams, if it's just one gunfight that can change the outcome, it definitely comes to it, because one gunfight for minions can lead to a second, to a third, to a fourth, all by just one player simply, or a combination of the two. It's been very common to see this just appearing time and time again. Now, round 8 is upon us. Again, seems like Solaire do want to take a second shot at this upstairs, I do believe it is. Or is it downstairs? Are my eyes deceiving me?
It is upstairs, yeah.
Okay, it is upstairs. I thought it was a floor below, but yeah, taking a second shot at a second chance. You know what they say, second time's the charm or something along the lines of it. Minions, again, Thatcher, the Thermite, the dynamic duo back at it, but they don't seem to be having an easy time going through the bandit.
Well, that's very simple, because they baited the breach. Bandit's stuck over there, they can't rotate over towards connector, especially with my heart over there with the Ash ready to deal with any cut off. That connector gets opened up while they are flashed. The mirror window gets hit again. Plex going to be looking for a C4 swing, but hopefully doesn't get them killed this time. It might be a very difficult situation. It's going to be Sacred, though, who's able to find a kill. Magis has an answer, but that site has now opened up, and they are able to jump in. As my heart gets to drive the pressure over towards electrical, starts to come in. And now the attackers, they can do a 2-on-2 push onto this site. They only have 4 players, but they only need 1 to go up absolutely huge. So they're backing up, they're just playing it safe. They have a Rafters, IT, and blue player. And they're going to take full advantage of everything they have. This time starts to tick down. The attackers get ready to push.
B completely open. We have the scares of Solaire completely all well-rounded, but no one actually contesting B as they get shut down by one. Maxea now off the board. A second one, that's going to be the planter. Now you're looking to find the third and the fourth, and that's exactly what they do. One trying to fight it all off. He does find the Warden and falls. You get class up, and you do deliver some damage. Not even that. A pick onto the second. That's dangerous. You brought down yourself to only 2, and greed could be the end of you. 58 seconds, they're going to be playing it safely because they know the opposition they're going up against. You don't know where anyone is, but they know exactly your position. Playing off of it, you are just trying to get back at these 1v1s. Stimmed back up. Zerino, you have that HP back up. Just like Charlie, they're looking full, and same could not be said. The headshot gets delivered. That's going to be trouble from Unfallis. And now it's just too close for comfort. But in the end, it's going to be a trade. And simply winning because you're on defense, it's going to be Solaire taking another.
And that is not how you want to be winning out that gunfight, winning out that round, that site you fought for. A 4 versus 2. Such a really strong position for themselves to be in. Really well done from Magi there to bring that back. But then they start giving it away, starting to get a little bit too greedy, like you say, getting a little bit over-aggressive. They go for the peak again. Time was on their side. They had the case, they had shotguns. And 2 players give away their lives like that. Unfolds a huge effort, a huge monumental effort to bring it back to as close as you did and get the kills as well. At this point, like you see on the screen right now on the replay, they realized they had to push for the frags. There was going to be a crossfire. We both knew that. The frag grenade pushes that player out, they can push up. Being able to land that last shot, that's just the cherry on the cake if you won the round as well. Unfortunately, that wasn't what happened. Solaire are able to even things up just by the fact that they're on the defensive side. And as we head down below, that worries me a little bit. How are we going to see the defensive side go? Are minions going to be just as dominant, just as strong, and on fouls, most importantly, having that much of an impact as we go down below?
The playstyle has switched between these two teams because normally I'd expect minions to be the ones aggressive, to ones peak, ones take it into their own hands and really start those either unnecessary first picks, go for these high risk, high reward plays. This time around, Solaire, you kept swinging and swinging. The bandit got his head taken off, and the cross hold was just not strong enough to take out Unfalse, who did get the ending pick. It's a concern that we even got to that point in the first place, and it should not happen ever again. If it does, honestly, I'm hoping that they're going to be on defense again because it's been the only savoring fact of that round, and it's the only way they manage to get them to 4-4 to equalize it back up.
Yeah, right now, no real kind of focus anywhere else for the side of Minions. They are focusing on this breach, but it seems as if Reno has got it unlocked for the time being, as none of those breaches will get opened up as it is. And now the attackers, they're going to have to head out elsewhere, as they no longer have impact EMPs, and the bandit charges will be in effect on that wall. As a result, now, going onto that top floor, they have to go for the roam clear. They expect it to be clear, but they don't know for sure, so they have to assume somebody is there. And with Vigil on the board, just one flash of that ability will show up on cameras and make them aware that they need to check every single corner. As a result of that, this will waste a lot of time, and Solaire will have the opportunity to take advantage of it, but it's going to be Blakey who manages to find that first pick. The bandit taken down. In fact, they could get the util. They've realized they can just drop down, get the bandit charges off the wall, and Thatcher will have that all-important effect. They will take it off. They don't need to try and bandit trick it because bandit's dead. For some reason, they have just used that last thermite charge. That breach will not open up.
That was poor timing. He placed it down right before the Thatcher EMP exploded, which ended up in the exothermic getting destroyed, the only one they had. So the ultimate cutoff on the rotation is now cut off itself, as you're left with not only having to force and push into the defenders, or the defenders pushing you in this case, which is Solaire has been, you know, quite infamous for doing so. Now completely cornered, goes for a reload and a bad time, and on falls punishes for heavy.
Yeah, and now Charlie looking to get a little bit aggressively positioned to stop anyone from going for a plan on this A site. Will maybe get one kill, but we'll have to fight for that second as the plan starts to go down. The air jabs are there. Looks for the head of Nomad. Isn't able to find it. Looks for it again. Can't get it. It's going to be Class Up, though, who finds my heart. And the refrag comes out from Unfalls. Class Up on their own has to get this 1 versus 3 situation in their favor. We saw last time in Chalet, someone was able to do it. Not this time, though. Sacred closes this down and keeps the favor firmly in the hands of the Minions.
Even when having so much on your hands, Solaire, even when denying that main breach of the exothermics, both of them were gone, and that bandit was too, so the counter was perfectly there, you still managed to go about it, and in the end, the plant goes down there. Japs, you let him pass through. Not much is to do there, as the man disadvantage is just too great to work around. 4-5, seeing it, or 5-4 in this case. Minions retake the lead. Now on the attack, and these guns that they have been using, these shots that have been connecting, are beautiful. Minions are really showing themselves to be a bit more confident gunfighters out of anyone from Solitaire. Now, as we go about round 10, we're reaching those double digits. Teams are still extremely close. Even though rounds have been one-sided at this point, I feel like it's just one team takes the opening and then they just have it for themselves. It's confirmed who's going to win at that point. It still has been trading time after time again. They've been basically ping-ponging the score around.
Which is fine if you're a Minions fan.
True.
Maybe not so much as Solaire. They have been tailing it behind each time. Like I said, they've been able to catch up a bit from that attacking side. But now on the defense, this is where they've been lagging behind that a little bit. They need that opening. This is the round to win, essentially. Back on that bottom floor. They didn't win it before. They need to make that massive change now, because then they can go back to the top floor. And hopefully then, that'll get them that match point. Then they can lift that final round. Right now, though, Minions, this is all they need. They just need to recreate some of that magic they had before. And this starts with that roam clear. Ideally, though, I'd like to see them get the breach open this time, but, you know, we'll forgive and forget on that one. They did win that round. But the droning's going to come through again. They realised this was an issue that they had to focus on before, and they need to do so again. Aware of the Legion scans, the Legion mines, they're going to be able to find not 1 but 2 kills, Buff.
2 kills indeed. Start counting them up because the bodies are going to start racking one way or another. Minions taking the fast approach as they always have been. The aggression has been complementing them so well, and they head check every single corner they can. Also complementing that playstyle is going to be the operators they have, but missing the buck just as a Rhino does take off one. Plagues with a second Maxea brings it down to a 3v3, equalizes the score. The blitz is around the corner. You almost catch him off guard, but it's It's not too much, misses the impact, which could be a detrimental option to go for. And now you've made some sort of presence be known. Now you've definitely made an advancement, and the information is there. The back off comes through, but a double C4 from below will be confirming not only the blitz, but it's also going to be the Deimos.
Yeah. Taken down off the ball by a unfortunate Banshee and an unfortunate Bulletproof Cam working in tandem here. Now, the big thing is you have one operator left on the board to do this job and get the clutch and get that match point. And it's Unfalls. If there was a player to have in this situation, it is going to be them. The scan on the Legion has come through. Now, they do know where that player is, but they're not going to worry about it because they know that they can hit this side with only 2 players. That's 2 1v1s as opposed to 3. Aware the Legion being behind them, they're going to have to make a bit of progress here. The scan from the camp comes out and they can't really rotate because that's going to be Blake shutting things down. Unfalls has had some amazing moments in this game, but that isn't going to be one of them as they get picked off at the end. Solaire able to tie things up yet again and stave off what seems to be the inevitable match point that will be coming in this round.
C4 being definitely a highlight of this round, some would say. It changed the rotation, it changed how everything was viewed upon from the side of Solaire completely, leaving it from a 3v3, which was a dangerous scenario either way, all the way to a 1v3, which on Floss, you managed to do it earlier, but there's just... lightning doesn't always strike twice. It's quite rare to see it happen for the second time, and this time, Solaire played it a lot safer. They went for unexpected plays, they held tight angles, and they kept him in lock on those stairs, didn't allow him to move, and even if he would have, the flank came out one way or another. 5-5 is the score. Keeping up that off the ball, just rebouncing it time after time. Minions, they have troubles then and there, but same could be said for Solaire. They have both shared a lot of mistakes and a lot of highlights, and at this point, it's really up to see who can start being a bit more consistent than the other.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. I've got to be honest in this one. I feel like that last round, Solaire kind of were able to read into the fact that Minions might not have wanted to go for that room clear, or for that breach, sorry. A little bit too much, because I feel... like you say, lightning doesn't strike twice, and I think Minions were trying to capture a little bit of that. Didn't happen, so we are going to head back to this top floor. Like you say, this is where we saw a really good defense on the second attempt at this. The first one didn't go as well as Solaire would like it to go for them. The problem is, to me, though, if we see anything like that last round that we were here for the defense, they're going to need to be a lot more locked in this end game. Fuse going to be brought in to deal with the effect of the bandit on that breach. We guarantee that that gets opened up because it is very hard to bandit trickle wall with grenades landing on your face. This does, however, cause an issue if there are roamers on the board, which is that vertical plate. Someone can play down below and be ready to deal with you. So they rotate over, get that construction site, connect the site very, very quickly, and as a result can open up 2 possible entries to site. This, again, like I spoke about before, that's your second pronged attack. You need 2 tips of the spear to try and put pressure on the defenders. That's what's going to happen as Sacred will find Sereno. And you will see Charlie down below waiting, hoping that they're going to be effective in this round.
Didn't even need the fuse to finish off the bandit, as some sort of establishment is made by Minion. Didn't like how the score was done previously to them, so now they want to start it off a bit better. The proactivity suddenly showing itself, and in the meanwhile, not much showage, but of course, Solaire won't be letting go of it easily. Flaws does continue what he started earlier. Upstairs, he got a beautiful clutch, and this time around, he's gonna be not messing around either way. Maxea continues 4v2, going in a bit more aggressively as damage is just dropped slowly down. Though Magi does get taken out, just as I mentioned the name Sacred off the board, and a trade from Blakey will be getting Minions at another, and now they're looking at match point. Creed, they can finish it if they just win this round alone, but there's also a possibility that Solaire will be bringing us out of regulation.
Yeah, I've got to look at this. I feel like Solaire, this is a round that they are lucky to be in this situation. They have had some moments that really shouldn't have gone their way that have. But I do want to say they have earned to be where they are. It's just a case of, did they earn that last bit, or has it just come down to the wire? Well, in some cases, it has come down to the wire. It has come down to the flip of the dice. And Minions can close this thing down they can make sure that they finish this out and they undo the mistakes of the past, which led them to lose this game. They've already beaten Solaire, they've already overcome that demon. Now they've done it, they're looking to do it again on Nighthaven. They've beaten out the scoreline at least. They're a far cry away from that 7-3 defeat they had last time. But now they need to make it a 7-5 victory. Is this going to get shut down now, or do we go all the way?
Or do we go all the way? It's either going to be overtime, match point, overtime, you name it. Or Minions start actually locking in. They lock in just this one last time. They ride the wave of those 6 rounds they've been constantly on. And they take it. Now, a spawn peek on the drone. It's the usual. Everyone does it, trying to take out that utility. We love seeing it. Minions, an occurrence that happens once every millennia as we go into, yet again, the possible, but only possible, final round, final match. And this is the decider overall. There's no second chances after this, so Solaire, they are as equally under pressure because I doubt Minions want to take it to overtime. They could be under a lot of pressure just in the thought of, can we do this? Can we really stick it through?
Yeah, for Minions, this is the round to close things down. They've won this round before, they would look to do it again. The thing is, with this one, everything worked out last time. It worked out really well. They was really good at getting that breach open. If they're unable to make this stick, their mental is going to be very, very much affected. Going to overtime, that's not a situation you want to be in. Like you said, you described it as comfort down on Consulate, but in this situation, it's not where you want to be. You want to lock this down straight away. You've got the rounds, yeah, you can afford to lose it, but you really don't want to. Mentally, you may not be able to. The Minions are going to go for a very similar push. They have that breach control. They have connected the gridlocks to go down to shut down any flanks. And ideally, they're going to have, I believe, Sacred or Blakey going to try and apply some pressure and get an opening pick for their team. Camera goes down, Util follows, and Plagues on the mirror window is still there as far as I'm aware. That mirror window might be damaged as we start to look towards the execute.
HP standard not looking the best for Minions as it keeps on dropping time after time, but if you can hit those headshots in the end, it doesn't matter much. Close off proximity, Zarino is using that shotgun. It's a strong shotgun, even on mid-range, but coming up close and personal will be the best way of going about it. That team kill comes out, Clazup uses the mute as a mid-shield, as Maxea is taken out in the process, goes for hipfires, and Basil does get one, unfalls, does manage to trade it out. The so-called unfalls now dropped by a bailiff, finished off. Blakey gets a second. And now it's down to a 2v2, but the HP is just so desperate for Minions, and can't they really scoop their way out of the situation?
Yeah, and right now, nobody's watching that bulletproof cam over towards that IT area. Nobody is aware. Now they are aware that player might be pushing from the IT side. 40 seconds ticking down on the clock, and this is it for the Minions. They are not the defenders. They need to make something happen. And right now, it might just be letting Clazup walk into the line of sight. Time ticking down. Only one real direction they can push from. The jump comes through. Clasup's able to find Blakey. And now it's all down to Sacred. Looking at the refrag. 11 HP in a dream against 2 full HP defenders. Unfalse was nearly able to do it. Can you? 15 seconds ticking down. The breach getting opened up the swing. No doubt from Clazup going to come through. Doesn't find its mark, but with 10 seconds left. Now they're going to. Magiel will close it down. Pushes OT and keeps Solaire in it somehow for another 2 rounds.
Oh, you had the Doc on defense, but when it comes to attack, you just can't heal. Those big punishments that come from Solaire, really putting in the damage, making you bleed the entire time, and having you below 50 is going to be a hard-fought battle. 6-6, we're finally out of overtime. This is the first time we're seeing it today, and it is the finale, some would say. It is the decider that is really going to make sure it's going to be as epic as it possibly can be. 6-6 is where we're at, and someone's taking it. Whoever it is, though, it's going to be a long road, and most of it is already past it. Even a team kill coming through is going to be the first. Got to check it off the bingo board if it is on anyone's. As now, you know, it's anyone's game.
Really, it is. I feel like it's just been a case where we've seen these teams just keeping pace with each other. I mean, against Solaire, like I say, this does very well for them if they're the ones lagging behind, but the fact they've kept it going this long, I'm quite happy that they've been able to keep pace. The only problem is they need to make sure that they're not just keeping pace, they're taking the lead. This reset, perfect opportunity to do it. Heading down to the bottom floor. This is a site, though, that has not historically gone very well for them. They were able to win out, I believe it was the second round and the third one. But I feel like a lot of these moments have just come down to very individual moments, very individual plays that can't be guaranteed to do it again. I can't say that the strategies that I'm watching are the definitive reason for the round win. So, Minions, they're going to hopefully be using that as a bit of motivation. Going to try and move in again. Again, with the run clear with the Jackal and Deimos, going to be a very strong start and just get some cut-off positions in play. Problem is now, though, they need to be very careful of a lot of different things, like C4s, like players roaming.
C4s were quite a thing in the past and have definitely had their moments shining. But now, yet again, it's overtime, Minions back on attack. You have to have a second time in a row going through it, and the site is not upstairs anymore, so the adaptation is not going to be certain. It's not going to be looking the same, but the roam from Solaire is still looking strong. They're definitely very confident how about they want to go through this landscape, play about it against their enemies, because Minions, they're quite tricky to some extent, but it doesn't matter, as Plagues gets it. The opening, Maxea, though, trades it out the exact same second, as it's going to be limiting the verticality down to Maxea, the so-called Ram, who did get the opening for Minions.
Yeah, the thing is now for Zerino, though, sat over towards the player over towards that little area. They're going to be stuck in a very difficult situation because the backup is going to be needed for Solaire. It's going to be Blakey finding Plixo, who takes them off the board, and suddenly that means that things start to open up. Hatch is getting opened up, Frostmat's being taken away. Charlie does have an equalizer in a 3 versus 3. The diffuser does go down, though, and now that top floor control firmly in favor of the attackers, even though they don't know it. The defense have to lock in. C4 not in pocket anymore. No imp, only 2 impacts remaining. And only Blakey, the one that would really get taken down by it. It's going to be Sacred, though, finding Severino. Time ticks down. Minions getting that player advantage. And look at the HP. They might as well have 2, but Klazov has something to say. Finds the player through the Verdun with 45 seconds left. It's all down to Sacred and Blakey.
Frags have been absolutely consistent throughout this entire match, and that's how we're going to keep it going. Ticking down slowly. The clock is just dropping time after time. Again, the drop is coming down. Is going to be Sarah's push, as of course, the Vector is going to be showing itself. Brought down to a 1v2. Blakey's trying to find him, but it doesn't matter, as Klazap will be there to deliver coup de grace, and we're going into overtime. Match point, a second match point today, and yet again, a second chance for a team to finish it all with just one round.
And here we go. Here it is. Solaire, for the first time, have been able to take the lead. And at the most crucial point as well, because they have just come off of a massive loss streak on the defense. And I feel like being able to bring this back to this point, go on the attack, change things up, will really give a good shift to their momentum that they badly need. I feel like a lot of points in that round, they could have given it away to Minions, but they were able to just hold on. And I think that just goes to say that both teams are able to really perform and really hold that grace under pressure. Now this bottom floor site is where they're going to have to push again. Minions, I believe we saw a nice bit of roaming last time we were here. A nice bit of focus on that top floor, which Solaire were happy to oblige. The big thing I'm looking for now is Sacred. We've seen the Goyo Vector, the Mirror Vector as well. They both had such a massive impact in such key rounds. But Sacred is such a massive flanking factor that you always need to be expecting them. I think mostly on console, you need to be ready for them to try to be coming around and try to put that pressure on. Now though, bottom floor site, let's see what we see on this one.
Let's see what we see on this one. None of these teams having a bad day, but this match being entirely a full-on haze, as the result just keeps on changing. It's one time for another, and just as we go through these rounds, it's one team, okay, they have this advantage. Then the next second, wait, they can finish it off with a match point, but now they're against a match point? How quickly the tides are changing is absolutely stunning still to me. As Minions, what better way to lighten it up than to bring some Capcans to Goyos, some Boss G action, and good old Mira that's been getting rocked through round after round. Again, the consistency on her is almost 100%, I say. Solaire, the aggression, back at it again. The police, Magi, he loves them. The metal plate you're handling is absolutely astonishing, especially after the buff. Not using the Monty since he's banned. What's the next better thing? It's definitely going to be that Blitz, as it does make it a bit of a faster process to go through.
Yeah, and for an aggressive team, it can really lead to a lot of benefits on this one because they get in close, they blind them, they push them onto the floor. The defender cannot fight back, even if it's a warden. If they've been pushed onto the floor. Now that rower will be spotted. Again, this is something we saw that Solaire had on their defense on this side, and they were able to just kind of bring it back.
Oh,
just bear with me, the shot comes through. It doesn't find the killing blow. It definitely does find that damage onto place. He drowns that Jackal, gives them a little bit of reprieve for the roam, and now they can start thinking about getting back down to sight. And Fowls, though, gonna be finding a kill instead of finding their safety. And with a result like that, a 3 versus 5 at the moment.
4 versus 5 now confirmed, completely 4 down. The Jackal is looking very poor, bleeding all across the floor. You're barely hanging on by the skin of your teeth as Solaire are trying. They really need to make an attempt here to bring it back, to get something rolling for themselves. If the Jackal needs to throw himself in front of a stim rent for a teammate, so he must do. The HP is going to be lacking, but at the same time, you have an opportunity. Time is ticking down, and it's been a valuable thing throughout the entirety of Siege as a whole. Now you have a minute left, you have one opening, and it's a one-sided push if you decide to go for it. Solaire needs to start splitting up, but at the same time, it's such a risky thing because they've been very excellent as they just push it to sight. Blakey does find one, floored onto the second, though. It will be Solaire trading it out. 40 seconds on the clock, you're outside main breach and trying to rotate. Blakey's going to be the victim of it. The Thermite, that's going to be another one. 3v3 equalized down. The diffuser is in their hands, but you're up against verticality and you still have 3 to take care of.
I was about to mention those 3 players up above now. Minions can feel it slipping away. Solaire desperately in their grasp as Sacred finds Charlie and now brings us down to a 3 versus 2. The 2 attackers have to push through. Unfolds on the vert is gonna keep Minions in it. Isn't going to be taken down. Class up is everyone on the site. Look towards Exo, able to find the down, gets the kill, but the refrag from Maya will push us to the max. The Bo's max overtime. And oh my lord, 7. I did not expect to see this one, especially when we looked at how that previous game went, Bob. But here we are, max OT, both sides giving everything they have, refusing to let go.
The big 15 makes its way through. Big 1-5 going all the way till the finish line. And Solaire, Minions, both of them are exhausted.
Yeah.
You had your cup of tea, but at the same time, you just need to get that sprint in for the final few. Put it all into this one round. This is going to decide who is going to be the winner of this best of 3. I also can respect that Minions have completely changed the outcome of the round count and the maps they've won from their previous encounter. It is an improvement to see from them. But now it would be just such a sweet piece of cake. Such good icing on the so-called cake as well to see them take it. Solaire, on the other hand, they're fighting for glory. They're fighting to keep that contention. You know what? We won every single time against you, and we're going to keep it up. Both of these teams have a lot on their mind. Pressure is at an all-time high. And just my blood levels right now are spiking.
Yeah, you can cut the tension with a knife at the moment. Like you say though, Minions, they are trying to overturn the mistakes of the past and learn on and improve and become better than they were in possibly the first couple of movies. Now though, it's going to be Solaire going to try and close things down. Like you say, they are going to get in very, very early on the side of Minions. Start doing this third. Get the mirror with the big problem areas have been taken off the board already. And Maya Harker just get out a very, very quick escape as Sacred is able to help them out. Get that window open. Get them out of that position. Very, very well passed. Very well planned out. One thing I do want to say for both these teams, both of them have got a lot of good going for them. They're going to go really far in this league, I think, if they keep playing like this. The thing is, for Minions, we need to see that micro-positioning. Just see the little things, like how they get from A to B. That's where they're going to start dominating rounds. And on the same side, Solaire, there's little things as well that they need to improve on. Just little things like how they're approaching a round, how they're going to deal with an aggressive team like Minions. Things that both teams could definitely learn and improve on. This isn't a bad thing to have feedback. This is something that's going to avoid them from going into a max OT situation again. But right now, let's just enjoy the fact that we are where we are. The bulletproof camera has the spot onto Blake, looking towards IT. Sacred will enter in, finding 1 kill. Sereno has not 1 but 2 answers as Blakey and Norley pick up their own. A 3 versus 2 in favor of the minions as they're going to look for the attack, but the IT player pushes in. Blake's going to take it down. Norley has an answer of their own, and minions are able to bring it back from losing that first map. The redemption arc is complete. They will win it out, but Rob.
A well-played match and round and map indeed from the side of MG Minions, and Voss absolutely sticking it through. Both of these teams just making sure that all their efforts are given, and in the end there can only be one winner, and that's going to be the despicable Minions. Solaire, you tried it well. You had an amazing attempt. In the end, though, it was shut down. Kills were definitely in the advantage of Minions. They kept it rushing through, and every single opportunity you tried to give in the end, it was just shut down. It was completely cancelled out, rebooted, and now it's theirs to take, as they're going to be taking the best of 3 today.
Yeah, very, very well played from both of them. Both teams playing incredibly well in that game today, and definitely showing that it definitely wasn't a stomp like we saw last time. So, like you can see at the moment, they will be progressing forward. The Minions, I believe, is in the Swiss, going to be knocked up to that top end bracket. We'll go up against, I believe, as the victors of the last game. Now looking towards tomorrow, because this is only the start of the week. This is only day 2. Tomorrow we've got Ghost Army, our current victors of Season 8, going up against Crown Zero Console. And that is a game I'm also looking forward to. Ghost Army, an upset victory, as they'll be looking to retain that crown moving on forward. But again, let's just talk about that game, Puffo. Very well played from both teams, and you could definitely feel it was a grudge match on that one.
It for sure was. Both of these teams were really just hanging on tight, trying to push the load as much as they could, because in the end, it was constant highlights. I feel like everything was just highlighted by one player, one play, one C4, you name it. A team kill, whatever the case may end up being, there was definitely something major to take out of every single round, or an advantage that just brought up such a huge way to take over or retake, you name it. All these rounds were played fantastically by either side of the teams, but the way they kept going, the 15-round mark actually being hit in the very end is still fantastic, with just how much they managed to trade out the situational awareness they had. The team chemistry was definitely there. At times it wasn't. Mistakes were shown, but both of these teams, they had a good combination of pros and cons, and in the end, I would say this was a blast.
Yeah, I mean, both teams definitely deserving to go all the way, and it seems like Minions were just able to edge it out at the end. But that is going to be us for today. That is the day. They sorted a beautiful couple of 3 maps, taking us all the way. What more could you ask for? Well, another game tomorrow. So like we say, check out the Discord, social media follows. It all helps, and it all keeps you updated to make sure that you are up to date with all of the action going on in this season. And we will be back there this time tomorrow, so make sure you're here as well. I know I will be. Most importantly, thank you to, I believe it is Nanos Live producing, Ogon on the observation, Puffo for joining me most importantly, and you all for watching an amazing game from 2 really well played teams. That's going to be it from us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.